Every Christmas, something magical happens.
Dear Santa.
When a kid sends a letter to Santa. But Liam...
To Santa.
...is a crappy speller.
It is a frosty 12 degrees outside, so keep those chestnuts roasting on the open fire or else you'll get some frostbite in some unexpected places.
This looks like fun.
There is no killer Santa Claus.
We're gonna send Chester back to the sanitarium.
Oh, that's putrid.
Thank you.
Grudgingly spending Christmas with you.
What do you want?
You summoned me.
Not what I expected.
They're so bad, then why spend Christmas with them?
What'd you expect?
In the movies, the reindeer usually have the antlers, not you.
Kid, are you high?
Christmas Eves are very dangerous.
I'm way better than Santa.
Maybe I'm going crazy.
Ho, ho, frickin' ho!
We got big problems.
Yeah.
You, my friend, are getting 3 wishes.
What is he doing back here after all this?
By the way, after you make your wishes, I'm taking your soul.
Merry Christmas. I hope you'll rot in hell.
You ain't never had a friend like me.
Got Chester thinking he's crazier than ever. That's certainly weird.
It's the one night of the year that Santa can let himself into your house.
I personally haven't seen any goddamn killer Santa Claus!
Yes, y'all, it's going down right now. Episode 277 of the 22 Shots of Moods and Horror podcast is coming at you live and direct with the Mexicant, also known as JP. And of course, we got Mr. Majestic in the house, also known as Tyler. And I be your host, the toxic offender, Moodz. Yeah. What's going on, dudes?
What up?
I don't know what the word of the week is yet today.
Oh, Majestic. That was funny.
That was a couple weeks ago, and I guess last week it was washed.
Yeah, you're getting hammered in those comments.
Last week it was like. I think that was partially me too.
No, I think that was that comment was in reference to Dave. I think Dave was saying like a lot. I don't know. I think that's what the comment said. I think it was, if you take a shot for every time Dave says like, you'd be dead.
Oh.
It was something along those lines, but I think it was Dave. I don't know, but yeah,
Tyler and me also say like a lot.
You guys do say like a lot, yeah.
Yeah, there's something I have noticed I do that. I've done that like my whole life though. Like I'll find a word I like for like a week and I'll just say it a lot.
You know what, dude? I used to say like a lot more on the show, but I consciously made an effort to stop, and I eventually got better at it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I try to consciously make an effort. It just sometimes when you're rattling, you stutter like a.
Well, it's just people who don't podcast. I feel like I feel like they do not get that it's often used as a filler word to buy time while you are thinking of what you're saying. You know what I mean?
I just use the word fuck. Or just some type of curse word. Make you sound real smart that way. You use the fill-in words as curse words, and it's just, you sound like a dick that way. But no, the comments this week were really funny, man. Like, I knew like the second we were posting that last show that people are gonna be like, yep, JP's right. It's so funny how people are like, yep, JP's right, JP. I'm like, yeah, we totally told him by the end of the conversation that like JP was right. He enlightened us on us being dumbasses, and like people continue to write, well, JP's right, it's this, and I'm like, yeah, but we totally told JP that he enlightened us on it, and we're like, we agreed with him, man. It's like, it makes complete sense when you look at it from that vantage point. But
I'll admit if I'm wrong. I just looked it up and I was like, oh.
But like the thing I was trying to the thing me and Tyler were trying to say is like, when you have this moment where she comes into the room holding a manuscript and she's fucking losing her shit over, him killing off Misery and shit like that, and the next scene is making him burn his fucking thing. It's just,
yeah, but she's not holding that when she's bitching about Misery.
Yeah, but I mean, the next scene is her making him burn the fucking manuscript, right? So it's just kind of relatable to her freaking out about him killing off Misery. But the thing that really sold it for me is like 100% was like, Oh yeah, why would she fucking make him write a sequel called The Return of Misery if she burnt the manuscript that no one else has read but her?
Yeah, that's what I always thought was,
right?
was goofy about it.
It totally makes complete fucking sense when you think of it like that. But like, I'm just talking about like the setup to it. It's not actually that clear. People apparently are a lot more clear on it than we were in the comments.
What justified it for me was I asked Carly about it without like telling her what we were talking about.
Right.
And she was like, knew the correct way.
Right. Yeah, because Carly's smarter than I am. So that makes complete sense. But yeah, I mean, it's really funny because I actually asked a couple people about that and they totally sided with me and Tyler. And then I was like, no, actually, we were wrong.
And
they're like, really?
It works both ways. Yeah. Like it's still like it fits both ways to make the story work, even if it does seem a little weird with like our translation of it. But I think they just never make it that clear that there's a book that's not out yet that's coming out. And I just don't think they make it clear that the book she brought home like wasn't just like some new printing. Like that's
it was literally the Death of Misery one.
Yeah, I didn't realize there was a new book coming out. So like I always thought she just went to the store and like found some new pressing and said, I'm going to get them to sign it.
At the end of the day, this is why we have these conversations. It's not about making people look stupid. It's about informing and, understanding what went wrong or, and explaining the shit away. Like that's good. Those things happen on the show. Like, I mean, we've had other moments in the show where someone said something and you're like, oh, really? That's how it was? Like, there's misunderstandings in film all the time. Stuff. All the time. It happens all the fucking time. But, I mean, the comments were funny to me. It's like there was a couple comments where they would basically repeat back exactly what we said in the conversation. I was like, okay, that's okay. I know a lot of people make comments before they actually listen to the whole thing, or maybe they just missed that part too, but it is what it is. But yeah, the comment section, I was just waiting for it. I was like rubbing my hands. I'm like, okay, this is going to get fun. Because when we had a fuck up, and the other fuck up in the show too, because someone actually did mention it too, the Yule Log thing. So
my god, address that please.
So this whole Yule Log thing is actually really funny because this is actually really funny how this went down, because we were all talking about the one from Vinegar Syndrome, the whatever label released the movie, but when I looked it up to see the specs on it, the one that came up was the Mark Polonia one. And I didn't know at the time that there was another movie called Yule Log. So I just assumed that was the one with different artwork on IMDb, that was the one that Vinegar Syndrome was releasing, but it's not. We actually were talking about the one from Vinegar Syndrome. We just fucking goofed up on the specs because there's another movie called Yule Log.
Yeah, and I didn't think anything about it because I didn't know who directed any of them.
Right, and I didn't look at the specs
up. I was actually in my head. For a brief moment, I was like, "That's weird that he directed that." Yeah, I know who he is, and I'm like, "This is like a mainstream movie." Like, it's on like HBO.
So
I thought that's why I was so baffled by it. I was like, remember, even the way I said it was like, Mark Polonia directed this? I'm like, because I couldn't believe he was getting that type of love like on Vinegar Syndrome. I'm like, that's crazy. Like, they've never released any of his shit. I looked him up. Like, of course, he's from the Polonia Brothers, like Splatter Farm and all that type of shit. But like, dude has directed 23 movies in the last 3 years.
Yeah,
that just goes to show the type of quality that the Mr. Polonia is putting out these days. I'm like, oh my god.
And it's like a actual like mainstream release. Like it was on Cartoon Network. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like that's kind of
I did think it was kind of weird. Like because I didn't know
it's a Warner Brothers film or something.
Yeah, I didn't know who that guy was, Mark Polonia. But like looking at his filmography, I was like, oh, that's kind of weird. That this isn't the type of movie I thought it was.
Yeah, for sure.
I did get it in the mail yesterday, which was pretty cool.
I saw
it has a really cool. Yeah, the part 2 is on HBO right now.
Yeah, I noticed that yesterday that these were on HBO.
Man, my Vinegar Syndrome order still hasn't even shipped. I think I might actually email and be like, bros, did you guys forget about me? Because like, this is getting kind of crazy. Like Tyler's shipped a few days ago and you've already got yours. Of course you would get yours because you're a subscriber. That makes sense.
I've got 2 of mine already. Like, but I got one last week and one this week.
Yeah, I should get mine tomorrow.
I mean, I did pre-order, the Black Friday flash sale, whatever thing. Like I ordered the package, like you think my shit would have shipped by now. Right, like this is getting kind of crazy. So, I mean, if I don't get a shipping notice in the next couple of days, I think I'm gonna drop an email just because it is getting to that point. Like, I mean, we got a show to do, and like, I'm clearly not gonna have my shit before the new year. Like, this is fucking ridiculous. So, I don't know what's going on. I mean, it happened once before remember when they goofed up on my shit and they didn't ship it.
Yep, I remember that.
Yeah,
I was surprised that like we actually goofed up. I was like,
yeah, they're like, oh shit, we totally missed your fucking order. I'm like, yeah, I noticed. But
I've had one get delivered and it was actually a Black Friday package one year, and it had like $300 worth of shit, and I never got it.
Right. I remember that.
They did replace it, but that's scary because if like, they sell out of something that I bought.
Yeah, like the keep.
Which has happened to me a couple times actually with lost packages where I bought something and I couldn't get it replaced. Sucks.
But yeah, so I'm gonna check out that Yule Log movie probably this week.
Right.
But yeah, it has a cool like lenticular slipcover, which is neat.
Yeah, I saw that. It looked pretty cool. Definitely look cool. Oh, going back to last episode too, I just want to mention that, yeah, JP fucked up the thumbnail. Some of the comments were actually really funny too.
I don't know why you didn't tell me.
I did.
I would have fixed it.
And I waited for hours.
He did tell you.
I literally told you, and then I waited for hours.
But you waited forever to tell me. Tell me when I send it.
Dude, I didn't notice until I was making the fucking...
That's the thing why we need Tyler, you're the new Jeremy. You need to look at that.
Okay.
Well, no, that's why I always said
I was like, I just didn't think that was something
that
you have to remember. You have to remember when you sent it to me, I was at work.
I didn't even
I was
see
on the
it,
strike
honestly.
line.
Yeah, honestly, I didn't even see it either until like Moodz said that.
Stop saying I spelled it wrong. Like I think that's how it's spelled. It was a typo.
No,
also with the list.
Whatever. I mean, you can interpret it the way you want to. At the end of the day, it's just spelt wrong, right? So
fuck you.
But anyways, yeah, no, I didn't notice until I was making the video because I put the thumbnail in and I was like, oh, I looked at it and I was like, oh, for fuck's sake. And then I messaged you right away. And then I waited putting off making the video for like hours.
Yeah, you even said like, I'm just going to post it if he doesn't get back to me soon. We can make fun of him.
Yeah, well, because I wanted to get it up before too late, because I couldn't do it the next day. Like I had to get it up, right? So, but it's not a big deal. It is what it is, man. It happens, but I just wanted to address
it's
that.
Right. It'll be right on the other platforms.
somebody made a comment. They're like, just say in a Mike Tyson with a Mike Tyson lisp, and I fucking laughed at that. It was pretty funny.
I think that was Mike Merriman.
That was actually pretty funny. Yeah.
Oh, man.
So I got a question, man. What the fuck is up with the new 28 Years Later movie? What happened to months? Because it went from 28 days later to 28 weeks later. What happened to the 28 months later?
I know. I don't know why they didn't do months.
Yeah, because I thought that was like the title that it was supposed to be. And then also I saw years. I'm like, did I read that wrong? And I'm like, I went back. And I'm like, no, it does say years later. What the fuck?
They said we're going to make this more apocalyptic.
Yeah. I just thought that was interesting. So, but. Yeah. Anyways. That actually reminds me. So from last episode, somebody had a really fucking awesome comment. What I said I would bring up on the show to discuss. This person's name is Sapeo. I don't know. 9489. The comment reads, "It's ironic Stephen King publicly denounced Rage due to uncomfortable story direction involving a school shooter being a sympathetic villain protagonist." So then he goes on to say, he said, "Book Carrie actually much worse, practically superpowered shooter. Not only does deliberately target innocent people and completely vengeful, estimated to have murdered 400 people, essentially novel, almost villain origin story." So basically what he's trying to say, like, he's just trying to compare, the obvious contrast here of like, innocent people being murdered in the school. One obviously done by guns versus, the super, telekinetic powers of Carrie. I mean, it's a valid point. It honestly is a valid point. I think the reason why he denounces Rage, it's just because of all the gun talk in, North America in general, like gun control and stuff like that. I think it's just a lot.
Yeah, there's no person out there that's telekinesis.
That's what I'm saying. It's a touchy subject, obviously, with especially school shootings in America and stuff like that. And gun control has been a big topic of conversation for years and years and years, and for obvious reasons, man. Too many people are getting shot.
I think also that that fucking the Carrie character is a little more sympathetic. Like,
yeah, I mean,
like she pretty much has it rough. Like from my memory of Rage, I don't really remember like the kid getting like overly bullied or anything like that.
Yeah, I'd have to go back and read. It's been a long time since I've actually read the story. I can't remember the specifics, but yeah, I mean, Carrie obviously is abused by her mom and her classmates, and then she has a really embarrassing moment that happens, and then obviously fucking snaps. But it's supernatural. I mean, you can't take it fucking serious, right? It's fantasy. So versus something is actually, kind of a epidemic, really, in real life. So yeah, it's kind of like apples and oranges a little bit, but it's a point that I thought I would bring up on the show. So
yeah,
I mean, it makes a lot of sense.
But it's an interesting comparison.
Exactly. I mean, it's the same thing but completely different. So, but yeah, I thought I even I commented back and said, I'm going to bring this up on the show because I thought it was a pretty good comment. So
I'd need to reread Rage to really.
I didn't remember Carrie that well. That book just didn't really resonate with me. Some other early books.
Yeah, the Carrie book is pretty
short
good.
Read.
It's a short read.
I think it's pretty good, but whenever you see Stephen King's best books, Carrie's always top 5. I don't think that it is.
Oh yeah,
I should actually ask the wife because she just read the book I think last summer, just a few months ago.
Honestly, my favorite's Christine that I read by not a wide margin, but a reasonable enough one. And I always see that ranked towards the middle, even maybe bottom third.
I tell you, my least favorite is fucking what the fuck was it? Gerald's Game.
Oh yeah.
I think I might have mentioned that last week.
Yeah, I think you did.
I think
you mentioned you like the movie better at least.
I think I've mentioned it before too. One of my favorite novels by Stephen King is actually something that hasn't been adapted, which is Duma Key, which we said more than once that would be a pretty interesting adaptation to do with the right direction. So because I think it's very visual, but it's actually a really good book. It's from the later part of his career.
It's very good. It's definitely one of my favorite later books I read from him.
Yeah, because somebody mentioned Stephen King and his because you'd brought it up, JP, I think last episode too, that some of the new, or was it you, Tyler, the Stephen King's later writing?
I think because JP's read a lot more of his modern stuff than me.
Yeah, okay, so was very Trump hatey stuff, and someone actually commented about this, and I can separate the person from the art, and I'm I respect when people write comments like that because we've had this conversation on the podcast numerous fucking times because, of course, we've been called pedophile supporters, blah blah blah, all this type of shit, man. Because I mean, the Victor Salva thing is the obvious point to go back to, but we like his movies, and this is the typical thing where we can separate the person from the art. Yeah,
Polanski. I don't like Salva's movies, but I fucking love Polanski's movies.
Well, that's the thing, right? There are some of these dirtbag directors that have these disgusting pasts and stuff, but we don't support the person, we support the art. So, but yeah, this is a comment from Anthony 7777. When it comes to Stephen King, I separate the art from the artist because lately it's just one of those anti-Trump assholes. He can't shut up talking about Trump on his X or his latest books.
Right. But that's the difference though, is that it's not separating the art from the artist opinion. It's putting the opinion in the art. You know what I mean? That's my problem.
It's not even a problem with putting your opinion in the art, but granted, I haven't read it, but I get what you're saying, where it's it's almost annoying that it's you can just feel it bleeding through, and gets in the way of the story, right?
Right.
It's not that I even. It's not even that I disagree with Stephen King or anything. It's just that I don't feel like hearing about it.
Right.
Me in the book. Mm-hmm. Especially when that's all we fucking hear about with every other media.
It's such a random thing to do, to put your personal politics and your personal feelings into your art is such a weird thing to do.
It does make sense with the character. I will say that. The character does.
I don't think there's anything wrong with writing it's
it's just a little overkill sometimes.
Well, I mean, if it fits in with the character's arc or whatever the character is about, and so that makes complete sense if that's what it's about. But if you're just going to put these political views and this, this whatever you want to call anti-political stuff into your work for the sake of just putting it in there because that's your personal opinion on shit, it's kind of lame by Stephen King to do that. But you said it, if it does relate to the character and his personality and his politics within the story or the narrative, then it makes complete sense to do that, right?
I still think it gets in the way a little bit, but funny enough, I think it was after this last show, I had went through and told you guys about how Holly Gibney, the character, has become like such a main focus of Stephen King with this reoccurring character, who was in all 3 Bill Hodges stories, and then was also in The Outsider, and then she just had she was in If It Bleeds, the anthology. She had a segment in there. The title story, actually, If It Bleeds. And then she had her own literal book called Holly. That was his last book that he wrote. Besides the.
So do you think he's anthology.
But I just read that his next book is another Holly story that comes out in 2025.
Wow.
So he's like balls deep in this Holly Gibney character.
Maybe more than you think, because I think he wants to fuck this Holly character. Like, yeah, he's infatuated with this fictional character. It's like,
I mean, I do like Holly. She is a good character. But I mean, damn, dude. Like, it's kind of crazy that he's like doing so much with that character.
It is interesting, right? Because for somebody that has so much up there in his head, always writing different types of stories and shit, that he keep going back to this one specific character. It's really interesting.
Especially because he hasn't really done that. Besides, like, man, I never read the Dark Tower movies, but he's not a big sequel guy, right? Like, he doesn't write a lot of follow-up stories.
Yeah, I've read the first 3. Like, I read up to the Wastelands. I know there's like 9 or 10 of them. I have a couple of later ones I never read. I actually inherited those from somebody, but yeah, I read the first 3. I wasn't really into them, so I just kind of stopped there with those. It wasn't really my thing. So, and I never did check out the movie either, so I can't even compare.
The movie, the movie got like really bad reviews, and I guess like it was like a lot like tonally and just like vision-wise was like nothing like the novel.
Right. Yeah. I'd heard that over and over again from people. So, but yeah, fuck. Keep it short and sweet. But Steelers lose this week. Bills win, and that's the end of the sports talk.
Yeah, I saw it coming.
Yeah.
How did the Leafs do this week?
They won today. Yeah.
Did they? Okay. Oh, yeah. Tavares got a hat trick. Of course.
They were fucking losing to Buffalo 3-1 and then scored like 3 goals in like a minute. It was ridiculous.
I think I saw the score. It was like 3-1, and I was like, damn, they're going to lose again.
They did lose last night, though, which sucked. But whatever. It is what it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, we won't get into the whole sportsy talk because people don't necessarily. I just find it so intriguing. Whenever we bring up sports, there's people, I guess, that don't want to hear about, like, that aren't sports fans. They're the ones that always drop the comments. But there is a lot of our listeners and stuff that do watch sports.
Yeah, I mean, I get it. When I listen to a podcast and they start talking about shit I don't care about, I tune out.
So yeah, it's like anything goes political or something like that. I'm like,
I don't even
turn off right there. I don't even bother. I'm just like, no.
For me, it's when people start talking about like wrestling or like heavy metal music. I completely out.
Right. Yeah. So what all happened this week? Did you have anything specifically you wanted to talk about? Because I thought you said something before the show that you wanted to.
What were we talking about before the show?
I don't remember now.
Oh, Christmas horror, because we have our top 10 list coming up next week. We were talking about like Moodz is possibly going to mostly include stuff. Yeah, that it has like heavy Christmas vibes and not just set on Christmas.
So like a movie like The Brain, which I'll bring up here in a minute later on. But like
dude, that is one of the least Christmassy Christmas movies ever. I rewatched it.
There's like 4 or 5 scenes where you see like a tree or like a couple lights and shit, and it's like it just set around the holidays. And like I've seen this on people's list before. I'm like,
I think it's almost. I feel like it was probably just like they just filmed during Christmas time, like, and that's just what happened to be in the background.
Right. I feel like that too.
I do like The Brain. The Brain is a really fun. Is it Canadian? It feels Canadian.
I think it is actually. You know what? One thing I said to myself while I was rewatching The Brain, I was like holding the Scream Factory Blu-ray, and I'm like, it very rarely or very very seldomly ever happened in the 80s, but like, when you look at the artwork and then you watch the movie, they usually don't even have any relation.
Yeah.
Right. You look at the artwork on the Blu-ray, and it's that's the brain that you get in the movie. It's like the same. Yeah. It's so crazy. Like, it never happened in the 80s. They always oversold shit with like art or creatures or shit that happen that doesn't even happen in the movie, and they put it on the front covers. You know the whole story. But like, this one actually is very specific to it. It's pretty cool. So I love the practical effects on the brain. It's awesome. It's pretty neat.
Yeah.
But so the movie, like, the brain is not going to be eligible because I did set parameters, and I always set parameters, and people are always like, yeah, you're that guy. And I'm like, yeah, I am that guy, because it makes it easier to make the list. Right. So I had mentioned a couple films. I'm probably not going to bring them up here. So I'll try to leave people in a little bit of suspense. So the list isn't overly anticlimactic, I guess. But
it's a tough list for me. I'm not putting really any parameters on me. I'm just picking my favorite movies that I consider Christmas horror. But to each their own. Obviously, it would probably be easier if I took off stuff that isn't as Christmassy, but there's always potential for a 10 more list. So I could get other titles that I want down the road. But dude, I did like the most depressing double feature last night. So I did Dead End from 2003.
Oh, and you watched Silent Night?
Then I watched Silent Night from 20.
You know what? I have no sympathy for you because you did that to yourself. That is stupid.
Well, you know what? Dead End is actually more depressing than I really remembered. And I've seen that movie a bunch, but like, it is kind of sad, like the way that the whole story plays out. And it's like, it is kind of depressing, but that movie is like a straight black comedy. So it's like, you almost don't expect it to be depressing, but it kind of is. I'm a big fan of Dead End. I think it's one of like the more underrated movies from around that era. I would love to see it get a Blu-ray. It's in desperate need of one. I still have the old Lionsgate DVD from 2003 or 4.
Yep.
But Silent Night, God damn, is that movie depressing?
It's a black comedy.
You know, I watched a video the other day. I can't remember. I think it's called his YouTube channel is Splattercast. Have you guys ever? Anyways, it came up on my sidebar, and it was like 5 disturbing movies I'll never watch again. And I was like, oh, okay, what the fuck is this shit? What kind of pussy's making videos like this? So I clicked on it, and actually, he actually did a really good job of why he's not rewatching these movies because, like, you know, they're overly disturbing and, like, you know, they're just, you know, you can't handle them kind of thing. It's more just like the content, like, there's really no reason to like rewatch them. You know what I mean?
Well, that's sort of a little bit how Silent Night is, because that's my second time watching that movie. And like, there really isn't a reason to revisit that.
No, there isn't.
It honestly, I think it's extremely well done. And it has like a great, like, I think it's just perfectly executed for the type of what the plot is. There's just literally so many scenes in that movie that I think just make total sense if this was actually happening.
Right.
Because it's like, it's almost like you can't accept it because it's like, it's just something like that can never happen, right? Like the world can't end. You know what I mean? Like, and people are aware that it's happening, but they're still just trying to, what do you actually do in that situation, right? Do you just live your final days like you normally do? Or like, you know, and also there's another theme that I didn't really pick up on the first time, which is maybe I picked up on it, but I didn't really realize how much more that theme it was involved. And that is like, do you have the right to kill your children if it's what's best for them? You know what I mean? And the one woman's pregnant, and it parallels that too. And then you start thinking about like abortion, right? And I think that, I don't know if it's a statement on abortion, but I think that it could definitely be looked at as that.
Yeah, I mean, I picked up on that too when I was watching. Like, for me, like, I just see it as like it's an argument for like pro-choice versus like pro-life and stuff like that. I think Hellions, you know that Halloween movie Hellions?
Yeah, I really don't like that movie that much.
That movie deals with like that type of angles too, like with the whole pro-choice and pro-life stuff, and like I've been very outspoken about. I actually had this conversation last night with my buddy we were having like a Christmas party, a friend's Christmas party here last night. And we were talking about like pro-choice and pro-life and stuff like that. And
Why would you ever do that?
No, it got brought up. It was like a sidetrack part of the conversation. It was like we were talking about something, and we were actually kind of making fun because there's these crazy fuckers in our town that, you know, there's always in every town, right? That they're always out there, you know, protesting abortion, like to the pro-life people, and they've been there for years. These two old dudes, man. They're just fucking crazy. And I was kind of laughing about it. I'm like, those fucking guys are still going hard about this, man. Like, and I'm like, and I just said, I'm like, yeah, I've always been very outspoken about being pro-choice. I'm like, fuck, you can make your own decisions, man. Right. So with the movie Hellions, I actually really love that movie. I think it's actually done pretty cool. I'm a big fan. I know Tom Horswell is a big fan of the movie too, but yeah, anyways, you know, going back to Silent Night, like I think, yeah, that's definitely a theme within the film for sure. Kind of explores that whole kind of euthanasia type aspect of, you know, choices and stuff like that too. But I mean, when you're put in that position, like, are you not allowed to make your own decisions? Like, it's over, right?
Well, the idea is, are you allowed to make the decisions for your children? Like, do the children get a say in it?
Yeah,
that's
but I mean,
the idea.
Yeah, for sure.
It's their life. Do they get a say? Or because you're the parent and you know what's best for them, do you override that?
I mean, I personally don't think so, because a child is still able and capable of making their own decisions, depending on their age, of course. But like, if you have like a 10-year-old kid, like he clearly understands what life is and what death is. I would assume, you know, maybe not fully, but you know, I think at that age, you can make your own decision. That's the way I look at it. I think that if I was put in that situation, I would let my kid make his own decision. Like, I'm not gonna kill him because I have the power to. I think that's bullshit. Personally, I would let him make his own decisions if he wants to do what he wants to do. But I've always, that's just the way I parent though too. Like, I let him I let him make decisions, even though they're not going to turn out that well. But you know, live and learn, right? You can't learn without making bad decisions. Like, it's just the way it is, right? So you know, it's tough love that way. But at the same time, I think it also works to, you know, excel in life too. But yeah, when it comes down to like, are you making those choices? Like, me personally, that's the way I would do it. I'd let him make it. So I don't know about you guys, but that's just my personality. So
it's tough because it's almost like, do you know, like the alternative to letting them choose for themselves is them dying horribly by themselves.
yeah. I get that too. But like, I mean, I guess if you have the conversation, like, hey, this is what the outcome's going to be. Do you want it this way or do you want it that way? You know, you can talk it through. There's still ways of approaching the situation to like rectify it one way or the other.
Then there's the whole other dynamic that the kids really don't understand either.
Sure, of course.
Like, you know, so I think it's a brilliant movie. I loved it, even though I got off movie watching last night feeling like shit.
Yeah, that's a horrible double feature, to be honest.
I had a straight Christmas movie marathon yesterday.
Oh yeah.
We started off with Home Alone.
Naturally.
Always a good time. I never realized, you know, actually this is like the third year in a row I watched, but I went a long time without watching it. But obviously, being a '90s kid, this was like the movie everybody had to watch. But I never realized like the dynamic where like Joe Pesci's kind of like a pro and like Marv's just like some dumbass burnout that wants to be like a Wild West robber, like leaving a calling card.
You know, the wet bandits.
Yeah, that like made me laugh. Like I laughed harder at that scene where he gets in the car giggling. He's like, "What are you doing? Like, that's sick. That's a sick thing to do." And he just giggling about like, "It's our calling card." Like, it's like some Wild restaurant. Yeah. We watched that. We watched The Muppet Christmas Carol.
That's a good movie.
We a little bit more singing than I was happy with, but
I like it though. I'm like, again, I'm not a big musical person, but I'm a big fan of the Muppets though in general. Like,
that's the one they showed us in school. So yeah, that was like a little throwback.
Yeah, it was fun.
Then we went through on Dear Santa, which I guess we'll save for later.
No, of course.
Then my girlfriend showed me a childhood treasure. This thing called Olive the Other Reindeer. It was like a short TV movie. It was only like 45 minutes long. It was like a kids movie, but it was like way more sarcastic and had like a little bit of bad taste humor. And this thing was like literally made for like 5, 6 year olds 25 years ago. So that was kind of a cool nostalgia peep. And then we ended it with Black Christmas naturally. So that was a good way to cap it off.
That's pretty good Christmas marathon there. It's not bad. Oh man, I didn't watch really any movies yesterday. Well, maybe in the morning I watched a couple of the reviews, but like this week, man, I got down on a bunch of films, man. I think actually like after we recorded last Sunday, I threw on Jack Frost. Dude, it's so funny watching that movie on the Vinegar Syndrome Blu-ray because like we always joke about like how cheap that fucking Jack Frost costume, like the effect looks. In high def, it just makes it look even worse. It's so funny to me. But
wait, which movie?
Jack Frost.
Oh yeah. So I watched. Are we talking about what we watched?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah.
All right. So after we got off the show, I decided to watch The Brain. It's like there's not a lot of Christmas in that movie at all.
No.
But it's
funny
fun.
that you watched that.
Fun movie.
It's funny that you put that in because I put it in there because I wanted to remember, like, just rejuvenate my memory on, is this a Christmas movie or not? Like, I couldn't remember.
Yeah, I did too. That's why I watched it, because we talked about it on the last week's show.
Yeah.
So yeah, The Brain, it's a fun movie. I think it's like perfect 80s cheese, good stuff. And Joe Bob showed it last year, I think, for Christmas. That and Ginger Dead Man.
So fucking random, man.
So Y2K, I went to the theater and saw that.
Yeah, I saw that too.
I thought it was all right. Like it was decent, but I think the like Y2K, like the time period is fun, but I didn't really care for the story overly that much. Some of the characters were all annoying, which it was intentional. So that didn't bug me.
What actually is the narrative?
It's New Year's Eve, so this is the one cool thing is would be a fun New Year's Eve movie to throw in rotation if you're trying to watch New Year's Eve movies.
Well, of course it's New Year's Eve. It's the Y2K
1999. It's about these two friends who are kind of losers in high school. One friend has a crush on actually Snow White. Remember we talked about that chick who criticized Snow White in the new Disney movie? The girl who plays Snow White is the lead female in this movie.
Oh, yeah.
But he has a crush on her. They decide to actually go to a party because they're nerds. The one like bigger guy is like the comedic relief. He tells a story about how he pissed in the dude's Coke and they call him Piss Mouth, which was probably the funniest bit for me besides the Limp Bizkit stuff.
Yeah, that was my favorite.
The Limp Bizkit stuff is definitely the best part of the movie for me. Because I think people forget like just how fucking massive Limp Bizkit was. Like if you watch any of the Woodstock documentaries, like half the people there are like white dudes who are just like fucking Limp Bizkit's the best band in the world.
Like if somebody showed you the music video to Break Stuff now, like imagine like you're 10 years old and then told you like this song was all over the radio, like a mainstream song people were singing 25 years ago. Like they just wouldn't believe you.
I seriously could not fucking believe when Limp Bizkit blew the fuck up with Significant Other, man. Like, because I was listening to Limp Bizkit years before with $3 Bill, y'all. And like, it was just this band that I was introduced from Korn. Like, they were in the Korn circle. And I'm like, okay, these guys are fucking cool. And then all of a sudden they come out with fucking, Break Stuff. And like, oh my God, dude, like, it's Nookie. Like, that album was just like,
the Limp Bizkit girl in the movie had me cracking up because like everybody knows a girl exactly like this. Like, she's just saying like such stupid brain rot shit. Like Break Stuff brought us together.
It's awesome they pad Limp Bizkit in there because that totally
they do it
encapsulates that time period so perfectly.
They got literally Fred Durst.
Oh damn it! You spoiled it.
He's on the cast list. It says his
I don't
name
care. I didn't know he was in the movie.
Fucking Tyler spoiling movies that are in the theater.
Fred Durst has a main role in the movie, which is funny.
Oh, really?
It's not a main role.
Yeah, it is. It's a fucking main role, dude. That's top billing casting, I would say.
It's crazy.
It's like you're gonna see his name on the credits.
Yeah, at the end of the movie.
No, at the beginning. His name's in the opening credits.
No, it's not.
Yeah, it is.
Is it?
Yeah. I knew he was in this going into. I was waiting for him to show up the whole movie.
I didn't know because I try to go into stuff without knowing, and it was a big surprise, and I loved it. Actually, he was walking out of the shadows, and I told Carly, I was like, that looks like Fred Durst, and it was. But so basically, if essentially Y2K, like everybody was paranoid that like shit was gonna break down because
I remember it clearly,
coded weird back in the 90s. So it's like, what would happen if that actually happened? And basically it's like Terminator-esque, but kind of silly. The porta potty thing was pretty funny. It was all right, but I didn't think it was like great or anything. But worth watching, especially for like New Year's, I'll probably watch it again. And then I watched Ginger Dead Man, which also Ginger Dead Man's a weird movie because that is another movie that never in the movie do they say it's set on Christmas, and there's no like Christmassy stuff. I think everybody just assumes it's Christmas because it's about a gingerbread man.
It's weird, right? Yeah. I need to get that Blu-ray because I have the old DVD.
Well, I'm gonna buy the box, the cookie tin.
Yeah, I think I might do that actually. Get the whole fucking franchise. We'll do that on the show.
Because this DVD looks like fucking ass.
It does. That old full moon. Oh, it's horrible.
Yeah. Like even the transfer on the Last Drive-In with Joe Bob is ass. Like it was horrible.
Yeah.
But yeah, that movie's stupid, but I kind of like it because it's like I think that's like the second wave of like full moon, right? Like obviously you had like the Empire stuff, which was great, and then the whole 90s were great, and then like the late 90s kind of sucked, or I guess not the whole 90s were great. The late 90s, early 2000s kind of sucked, and then like the mid to late 2000s there was a little bit of a renaissance, but there's also a lot of bad shit that came out there. But yeah, it's fun. The girl who actually, I didn't know this, but the girl who is the lead in Ginger Dead Man is Charles Band's wife now. And she's like significantly younger than him. She's like 40. He's like 70 something. But they interviewed her they actually just got married like last year.
Man, I love the fact that like Gary Busey is the voice. That shit fucking kills.
Well, yeah, they said they had one day to shoot with him.
Yeah.
And he was like they let him rewrite like parts of the script and stuff because he wasn't happy with it. Like she basically talked shit on him the whole time. But yeah, after that I watched Black Xmas 2006, which is a fucking banger. That movie is even better than I remembered.
That movie is fucking terrible.
Dude, it's not at all though.
It is, man. I don't like it.
If that movie came out in the 80s, you would fucking love it.
Did you shut the fuck up with that? Stop using that fucking phrase.
Seriously,
there's
nothing wrong with that.
I've got a bone to pick with. Like, stop saying that shit, man. I heard you say this the other day, and I was going to make a big deal out of it too. And I'm like, I've come to conclusion.
I believe
I've come to terms with this that I fucking can't stand that saying. If this movie was made in the 80s, you would love it. Fuck that shit. I don't like every movie that came out the goddamn 80s.
But I feel like people are more forgiving of stuff that came out in the 80s.
Okay, that's a better way of wording it or phrasing it. More forgiving for sure. Probably, but not for sure. Because there's still movies that I shit on. Not for sure,
but I think that like the problems that you have with it might not be as
Michelle Trachtenberg
important to you if it was made in the 80s.
See, the thing is with Black Christmas is like, it's so what the fuck is Tyler having a stroke right now?
Sorry, I'm just looking at the cats. There's a lot of hot chicks in this movie.
Yeah, there's a lot of hot chicks in the movie.
Dude, like that was so Jeremy right there. We're like talking and he's in his own little world doing fucking like playing with CD cases or fucking banging Blu-rays around or some shit.
Moodz was on a roll.
But anyways, yeah, no, like so when I think of Black Christmas, I'm like, there's so many endings. Like, do you watch them all every time you watch it? Like, do you pick a favorite?
The movie. I don't really care about the ending that much. What I care about is the fucking twisted nature of the story. Like, it's fucking really cool.
Well,
like,
it's like, okay,
you take the Billy character or the killer in Black Christmas, and you're like, okay, well, let's make a backstory for this guy because we don't know anything about him in the original. So, in my opinion, that's the way to do a remake because you're not just.
I'm not saying it's not.
Shit.
I just
and then the backstory is great, and I like the whole yellow skin thing. I used to not like that much, but because it's so yellow. But then I realized like this is being told in a flashback story where people are talking about it. So it's like it's magical. Like it's more yellow because you're telling the story. Of course, it's going to be exaggerated. And then the fact also that like the mother is so twisted and the father was actually like kind of a good dude and stuff. And then the whole like incest brother father thing is like fucking pretty wild for like a mainstream movie.
Yeah, that's pretty gross actually.
And then the flesh cookies are great. There's some decent kills in it. I just think it's pretty cool movie. And it really has good Christmas atmosphere too, especially the scenes back in the 70s. The scenes in the 70s are actually done really well. They're done really well. Like all the aesthetics to the house and stuff, like the fridge, the stove, like everything looks older. I don't know. I watching it again, I'm like, yeah, this movie kicks ass. I like it a lot. I liked it more than I had.
Well, I got a feeling we'll be talking about this one again. Fucking
not necessarily. There's a lot of good movies from a lot of good Christmas movies, dude. It's tough. It's a tough.
I just always like I like what obviously doing their own thing with the Black Christmas remake. I mean, you're not going to read. I mean, you could possibly just remake the original one, but like you got to do something different with it, right?
Yeah, and it's so much better than that other shit that came out in 2018.
Oh, dude, that's not even, like I said, that's not even a movie. This is a propaganda film. It's a propaganda film for hating men. It's like really bad actually. But yeah, like every time I watch it, I'm just like, it just feels like it's just kind of a mid-tier slasher film to me. Like it has decent ideas. Like the flesh cookie thing is pretty fucking awesome, actually, to be honest. But like, you know, I'll give him props for doing a remake. This is how you do it. Like you said,
even the stuff at the beginning, like where he's in the hospital and stuff, is cool. Everybody's kind of like dicks. I don't know. It has a sleaziness factor to it that I feel like you didn't get in a lot of mainstream stuff, except for in this era, right? Like 2003 to like 2007 or 8, we started getting a lot more nasty movies. With stuff like House of a Thousand Corpses, Devil's Rejects, Black Xmas, Hostel.
Well, House of a Thousand Corpses came out in 2003. Yeah, 2003.
Yeah. So like 2000, I said 2002 to like 2008 was like the nasty era,
right?
Which was post 9/11. I always think that factored in a little bit. But yeah, I don't know. I think are you going to rewatch it before next week?
I was thinking about it. Like I have it sitting, obviously I have it sitting around. I have all my Christmas movies always together, but I mean, if time permits, I might. It has been a few years since I've rewatched it. Like I can't even remember.
I think the last time we probably watched it was when we covered it on the show.
Yeah, I think so too, actually. But it's been a while. Like I don't even remember. Does Billy fucking like call them cunts and shit on the phone? Is there phone actions? I can't remember.
Yeah, I think.
Yeah, I can't even remember, man. Fuck. But I might. I mean, like I said.
Yeah, there's some phone calls and stuff. And I like the whole idea of like they take the sorority house thing and they amp it up a bit with like the whole present for Billy and the fact that Billy used to actually live in that house. Like I think all that kind of fits really well with the movie. And I think it's one that over the years I think we'll get more love especially as we get further away from, I mean, shit, this movie's almost 20 years old at this point.
Yeah.
Which is crazy, but yeah. After that, I watched Silent Night, Deadly Night. Got to, right?
Yep.
Gotta watch that. That movie goes by so quick, dude. Like it really does. It is a quick watch. I think that like that movie and My Bloody Valentine are such like a good pair of slashers that have like a similar history and shit. Like just with
we had a lot of fun watching that. Like as like our midnight watch a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah, with the uncut footage and stuff like that.
Yeah, it's funny. Like you can see they like even more. You can really see how much they butchered that. It's crazy. There's like almost no gore like without that footage.
Well, there's one scene that almost the whole scene's cut. It's like a minute. It's like a minute scene. You're like, what in the fuck is holy shit, dude? Like it blew. Like I remember back in the day when I think it was around the time the Sony Blu-ray came out with the uncut footage, which is, I still like that Blu-ray because it actually shows like where the cuts are. You know what I mean? Like the footage.
Well, you could still see it in the Scream Factory Bluray, really.
A little bit, but man, they honestly did a pretty good job of blending it and like really
it's definitely blended better than it was.
But like I remember people were being like, yeah, I watched My Bloody Valentine for the first time and it wasn't that good, and I'm like, what did you watch? And then they would show that double feature with April Fool's Day, and I'm like, bro, that's the fucking cut version of the film. Like, it's missing like 20 minutes, man. Like, yeah, you can't watch that shit, dude. So.
And then I watched Better Watch Out. Had to squeeze that one in there. Good movie. It's like such a good Christmas movie, and the atmosphere is real good in there too. I love all the actors, even like the small parts by the parents are great. Like, she's like, are you sure you never sucked cock in high school or college ever?
Right. Just talking to Putty. Oh yeah, it's Virginia Madsen, right?
Yeah. So that movie's awesome. And then of course I watched the movies for this show. I also watched on Friday the 13th, had to squeeze in some Friday the 13th movies. Me and Carly did a tournament of coin tosses with the Friday the 13th box set, where we just literally did a bracket and did coin flips to randomly pick which Friday the 13th we're going to watch. And it came out with Jason Takes Manhattan. It was like a double elimination bracket. It's so stupid. But we watched Jason Takes Manhattan, which I think is fun. And then we watched Jason X after that, which I think Jason X is actually the only bad Friday the 13th. I honestly, dude, man, that movie sucks. I do like the scene where he smashes the guy's face, though. The girl smashes it. That's a girl.
Or a girl.
Yeah, I like that scene too. Right, there's some moments in it, but man, everything just looks so cheap in that movie to me. Like, everything looks like plastic that's supposed to be metal.
Yeah, what's really bad scene is when it like flashes back to like Earth, or goes to like that Earth scene or whatever. Oh fuck, I hate that shit, dude.
Camp Crystal Lake.
Yeah, 1980. It looks so bad.
Yeah.
Like horrible.
Yeah, and even Kane Hodder's Jason looks pretty shitty, like before he becomes Uber Jason. When the scene with Cronenberg, when he's just tied up there, and you could I'm like, why are they showing his eyes like that? Like you can see, like, he looks like a normal dude under the mask. It's like a weird choice. But yeah, Jason X, I give it like a 5 out of 10, but that's a generous 5. People who say that it's like not the word, like they have 9 and some other ones below it, I'm just like, dude, that's crazy. Like, this movie is like actually a mess.
Yeah, I agree.
Like, because in 9 you can argue that it's a mess, but it's really a mess for a Jason movie, but the story makes sense for the world that it's set in. But fucking Jason X is just looks bad. Like, it actually, like, at least Jason Goes to Hell got some good kills and shit in it, and good practical effects for the most part, and but fucking, and decent acting. The acting sucks in Jason X. Everybody's annoying. But yeah, Jason X. And then like I said, I watched Dead End, Silent Night back to back last night, which was pretty depressing run of movies. But I'm gonna go hard this last week and watch a bunch of stuff that I still have left. There's so many that it's like hard to actually watch everything. I want to get back. I want to watch Dow Code Santa Claus. I want to watch I want to watch Gremlins. I didn't revisit that. What else do I want to revisit? That movie Soul Survivor, the movie Moodz said last week. I've never seen that before. But yeah, there's my fucking copy of Curse of the Cat People, like, first got lost in the mail or something, and it got returned to Amazon, which I just think is so stupid.
That's annoying.
I don't know why that happened.
Yeah, it's fucking annoying. So is that what you watched this week?
Yeah.
Yeah.
What do I do,
any
man?
other 2023s in?
No, actually, I
24s, you mean?
Or 24th, yeah.
Wrong fucking year, man. No, nobody's watching anything from 23, man.
Nope, never again.
Yeah, no, after last week's, I mentioned Jack Frost, or I rewatched Jack Frost. It's still fucking fun, dude. Like, that movie's so much fun. Like, I don't care. I always have a blast with it, man. Like, the one-liners and shit. Like, Jack Frost looks goofy as hell. It's just super fun, man. Then I threw on Sleigh Bells, which is like...
oh, yeah, that's one... Sleigh Bellas?
Sleigh Bellas, yeah.
Yeah, I've seen that.
Yeah,
I forgot about that movie.
2018. I watch it every couple years. I've logged it a couple times since I've been on Letterboxd. It's fun, man. It's just a Santa vs. Krampus with, a couple hot chicks and stuff. Indie film that's shot really well. It's acted pretty well. Like, it's higher. It looks better and it should probably, but it's fun. I highly recommend it, man. It's really good.
I actually forgot about The Leech. You mentioned that the other day. I totally forgot about that one.
Yeah.
I don't actually own that.
Yeah, so I took a picture and sent it to you guys, like, just, to check it out. Because I think, have you ever seen it before, Tyler? The Leech?
No.
That movie is funny as shit.
Dude, you got to check it out, man. It's pretty good. Arrow actually put it out. Interesting enough. Yeah, it is interesting because it's modern. So
yeah, that's usually don't do that. Oh, it's a Jeremy Gardner movie.
So
yeah, he acts in it.
So the wife wanted to watch Daddy's Home 2 because it's set on Christmas. I've actually never seen the first one, but apparently it doesn't
really doesn't matter.
Yeah, I mean, it's a comedy anyways, but I was just like taken back by the cast. This is like Will Ferrell and Mark Wahlberg, and then their fathers are played by Mel Gibson and John Lithgow. I was like, holy shit.
Hell?
Yeah, dude, it's got a fucking crazy ass cast in it, man. And even like fucking John Cena shows up in the film, and he's like another one of the fathers in it. It's crazy. It's crazy. Linda Cardinelli's, one of the wives in the film. I'm assuming she was probably in the first one too. But yeah, it's got a pretty crazy cast. Actually, legit funny. I actually laughed out loud a few times in this, man. I was like, it's pretty funny. Mel Gibson's grumpy as shit. He's the bad dad, kind of thing. But like, he's got some good lines and stuff. It's fun, man. John Lithgow plays Will Ferrell's father, and he's perfectly casted because Will Ferrell's such like he's a huge dork in it, and then John Lithgow plays that comedic role so well. It's really fun, actually. I enjoyed Daddy's Home, too. Then I watched The Devil's Bath, which, going back to that Splattercast video, this was one of the films on his list, but I was actually going to be watching it. It was kind of funny that I was watching him talk about this film. I didn't want to rewatch and stuff. Have you guys watched The Devil's Bath this year?
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. Okay. So, I mean, I understand completely why you wouldn't want to rewatch this movie, because I think once is enough. Like, you don't really need to rewatch this one. And it's not solely because it's like, 2.5 hours long.
Not just two.
The runtime doesn't really bother me. I mean, it doesn't need to be that long. It really doesn't, but it's basically a period piece. And it's like it's like a factual story about these people that live in this, Austrian village, I guess. Austrian in the country, like it's set in like 1690 or something like that. So like the 17th century, and it's basically dealing with like mental illness and stuff, and like how they dealt with it and what they did and stuff. And it's pretty savage, man. Like, the movie opens up with a scene that's kind of jaw dropping. Not going to give it away if you haven't seen it. So you kind of you kind of know what you're getting yourself into with the bleakness of this movie. It's very, very dark and bleak. But what makes it even more bleak for myself is not, the visuals and some of the death scenes and things that are happening throughout the film. It's just the fact that this has actually been, this is what happened. Like, they have documentation of like 400 cases, I think is how they broke it down. Do you remember that, Tyler?
What movie are you talking about?
The Devil's Bath. And like, there was like 400 documented cases of what we're witnessing in this film. I don't want to give everything away because I feel like you should watch it.
It's a slow burn to like a really like satisfying climax, at least in my opinion.
Yeah, it really is. And it's really sad. And it's just like, it's more or less, the approach of like how people dealt with like mental illness, because back in those days, it was just totally kind of just over everyone's heads, right? So, but it's very bleak and dark and nasty. But respect the guy from the Splattercast, saying he would never rewatch this, because honestly, I have no need to rewatch this movie either, because once you watch it once, you're not going to get anything else out of it the second time. It's very straightforward in what it's doing. It's very dark. It's very bleak, and it's very effective in what it does. And I could see this one showing up on some lists, at the end of the year. So The Devil's Bath, pretty good film. Then I watched Low Lives. I finally found it, which is, I think it was like a Tubi original film that my Tubi in Canada didn't even have. Are you fucking kidding me? I'm like, what the hell? How can a movie be a Tubi original and not be available on?
It must be like more of an exclusive than an original. Yeah. Because if it was purely an original, if they produced it, I can't see how they wouldn't be able to.
Yeah, maybe it was exclusive. I don't know. I thought someone said it was. Yeah, but anyways. But
they might just call it that. Like Tubi might Shudder makes the distinction of an exclusive versus original, but most places just do.
Yeah, the studio isn't Tubi. The studio's front.
It says Tubi original. It says Tubi original. I'm just kind of watching the trailer here on IMDb right now, but
right. Huh. So, but like Tyler said, it's not a Tubi production, so
okay,
they must just call all of their exclusives originals.
So the thing that really tripped me out about this, I started watching, and I'm like, okay, and it's shot in Vancouver. It's a Canadian film. What the fuck? Why is it not available here? Like, that makes it even weirder. Has anybody watched this yet?
Nope.
I watched it.
Did you like it?
Yeah, I thought it was solid. I watched this one last week.
Yeah, I thought it was pretty solid too, actually. I like the construction of the film because there's like a twist that happens like right away in the movie, and I thought that was kind of cool. Mm-hmm. So it's, I don't really want to say anything about it. I did enjoy it though for what it is. I thought it was it had some decent kills. Had some decent moments in the film. It was pretty fun. I don't want to say anything about it because there's a twist that happens super early in it, and it's anyways, Low Lives is pretty good. Then I watched It's What's Inside. That's a tough one to say. I didn't like it. I thought it was messy. My biggest complaint, I know JP, you watched this movie, which is probably.
I watched this one too. I watched this one like right when it came out.
Oh, you watch it too?
Did I watch it? It doesn't sound familiar.
It's What's Inside. Yeah, you watch. It's on Netflix, I think.
Yeah.
It's the one with the body changing.
Oh, is that what that is?
Yeah, it's What's Inside. So the reason why this movie didn't work for me is simply because we don't know enough about these characters. They don't develop the characters enough to understand, like when the body starts switching, to really understand what's fully going on. Because
like their psyche and like the game, like the interpersonal relationships between them. That is true.
Yeah, so like they don't develop these characters enough. You don't get to know them well enough. So when they switch bodies, because like there's a point in the film where they literally have to put the pictures on the characters because they know it's hard to follow, and there's so much going on with like this character's doing this and this character's doing this, but you got to remember they're in different bodies, so it's uber confusing. You're just like, oh my god, like I got it, but I just didn't like the construction of it. I didn't like the way the characters are written because like
it's like trying to figure out who the thing is.
Yeah. At the end of the day, you're like, I don't give a fuck about any of these characters, man. Like I realized by the end of the film, I'm like, man, I really just wanted it to be over. It was a frustrating watch in terms of like, okay, this person's in this body, blah, blah, blah. But like, it would have worked a lot.
Forbes kid.
Yeah. Yeah, Forbes, yeah. But like it would have worked a lot better if you had some people to kind of cheer for or root for or be like actually know them a little bit better. I think that's how this movie would work a lot better, right? And it just doesn't do that. It was a total miss for me. I didn't really care for it. It's not like it's poorly made or nothing. I thought it was acted pretty well and stuff. Like it's, it does what it needs to do on the spec wise, but narrative wise, not my thing. Then I watched Don't Move, also from 2024. Basically about this. Anybody watch this one?
Nah, this is one of the ones I might watch left, but I might pass it.
Yeah, I didn't really care for it either. It's about this girl. It's one of these stories where I'm just like, I understand what they're doing right from the opening scene in this film, because like if you kind of know what you're getting yourself into, it's like this girl, like she's up on this cliff and she's ready to commit suicide, and she runs into the wrong person. Apparently, he's like this serial killer, and he injects her with like this drug. And it like basically kind of puts her into like almost like a coma. She can't really move and shit like that. and then it goes into this cat and mouse type thing and stuff, and it's just it's so standard. You know what I mean? Like, it doesn't really do anything that you're not expecting. It's not a poorly made movie whatsoever. There's some decisions, some things that happen in the film too. I just kind of shook my head at and went like, oh, okay, God, it's pretty average. I gave it like 5 out of 10. It's pretty average. But one movie I've been eyeing up for a little bit and I really wanted to watch was Mr. Crockett, because I like these type of movies where
that's one of the ones I'm definitely gonna watch.
I love these like rated R type kid type film, like they're based on like kids TV shows and stuff, like Banana Splits and all that type of shit. But this is obviously fictional, but like Mr. Crockett, it's kind of like a mashup between like Pee-wee's Playhouse and like, I don't know, like Mr. Rogers. It really is. He's kind of like a Mr. Rogers character that's set in like this Pee-wee's Playhouse type thing. It's crazy. But basically Mr. Crockett is a person that comes out of your TV. He's a kids TV host, and he comes out the TV when the kids need help. So in a sense, the kids almost summon him when their parents are treating them badly or poorly or whatever. So he gets summoned through the TV and kills the parents and takes the kids into his world.
That's fucking cool and dark.
It's pretty fun, man. Honestly, there were some pretty good kills in this. So, like, there was some fun shit. Like, I had a lot of fun with this, man.
Yeah, I definitely got to watch this one. This one sounds fun.
I mean, this is probably not going to be making anyone's top 10 list, but it's definitely worth a watch. It's super fun film.
I'd say like 65 movies aren't going to make my top 10 list.
Yeah, like, right. But if you want something to watch and you're down with these type of narratives, I think it's worth the watch, man. Like, instantly, like when you get into like Mr. Crockett's like TV world and shit, like the things that are happening, it's super influenced by Pee-wee's Playhouse. Like all that crazy shit, weird shit that's happening. So it's fucking awesome, dude. Because I'm a big Pee-wee's Playhouse fan, so it makes sense to me. But yeah,
it's like one of the things you and Jeremy had in common.
Yeah,
I don't like Pee-wee's Playhouse.
Oh my God, of Jeremy, I love it.
Funny enough, I trolled him kind of hard yesterday. I don't know, because
Are you saying words?
Yeah. Sorry. I trolled. So yesterday, out of nowhere, like late at night, I guess Interstellar is playing in theaters right now. He like messages like me in a group chat with Dan and goes like, "Tyler's a retard. He only gave Interstellar 3 stars," and he like just keeps like going off. And I just went like, I just go, yeah, because it's bad, and that's it. And just like put my phone down. And then I look up and he starts going off again. He's like, "It's a 3.5 on the technical merit alone." So I pick up my phone. I change everything to 2.5. Just like send him a picture of it.
Yeah, he always is pissy about ratings, man. It's pretty funny. But yeah, then of course I watched The Brain, which we just talked about. It's super fun. I love the Brain looks like a mad ball to me. It's like a big ass mad ball. It's awesome. And then I watched another 24 Outside.
The movie's not good.
It's a Netflix film. It's basically like a psychological thriller / drama disguised as a zombie film.
It's so long, right? Dude.
Yeah, that's why I'm not watching because of the length.
It's 2 hours. Yeah, it's like 2 hours and 20 minutes or something like that. But it literally is like a psychological study of a character, like more of the father, really, / drama. Like I said, disguised as a zombie film, because the zombies are definitely, they're there, but it's not like the core narrative. But like, I thought it was pretty good. I just kept thinking to myself, going, why in the fuck is this movie 2 hours and 20 minutes? It doesn't need to be this long at all. Like, you could have accomplished, this kind of mental breakdown or this whole narrative with the father a lot quicker than they did. You know what I mean? Like, it just didn't seem, but it looked really good. Like, honestly, like the 4K transfer on it would look really good and stuff. So you didn't like this one?
I didn't. I watched it a couple months ago. I don't really remember a lot about it, but I just remember that I thought that it was pretty fucking slow and I kind of tuned out.
Yeah, no, I mean, that's fair enough. I mean, it definitely is a little bit slower, but it's also a psychological study too. Like, it's this descent into like, when you're kind of isolated from the rest of the world. Well, I shouldn't say the rest of the world's kind of apocalyptic and stuff like that. They've isolated themselves and their father's, the father's parents, fucking forest. It's almost like a cabin in a sense. Like, it's like way the fuck out there. But it's like a huge ass mansion. But I mean, I like that type of descent, and I mean, it kind of goes into a territory where you think it's going to go, and it kind of does. But I thought the third act was it was full of madness, dude. Like, it was it just went ape shit, dude. Like, complete ape shit. Like, you know, which you would kind of hope for after watching, 2 hours of fucking slowness, essentially, right? You don't, like I said, you don't really get a lot of zombie action and stuff like that. Like I said, it's a character study, really. But overall, it's done well. I just don't think it needed to be this long. It's way too fucking long for its own good. So I can see people not watching this one because it actually is crazy fucking long for what it's trying to accomplish.
Maybe it was earlier in the year, but I've heard like super mixed things, and I saw the runtime. I was like, I'm sorry, this was just not into this one.
Yeah, if you're in crunch mode, man, I wouldn't recommend Outside, but I personally thought it was pretty good. I liked the movie, but you have to be into this type of thing really to get it. But I can see how people would tune out like JP did for sure. Then I watched Bagman, which I didn't even know anything about. And I'm watching this film going, this movie seems really tame. Yeah, it's PG-13 for fuck's sakes. Yeah, I didn't like it. It felt like a really bad Blumhouse movie. And I actually looked up the production on it. And I'm like, oh, it's not a Blumhouse movie. Crazy. But yeah, it's about this like, childhood trauma of the, it's this character, the bagman, who essentially kidnaps kids and puts them into his bag and stuff. And it's like this whole psychological study of this character and kid and blah, blah, blah. It's not good. I don't recommend Bagman. It was actually pretty bad.
I think there's a lot of like Blumhouse, like bad Blumhouse failing movies.
Yeah,
the past couple years, like both made by Blumhouse and not made by Blumhouse.
I mean, I can see
the bottom of my list, like all movies like that.
Yeah, I can see people like younger kid, like if you were like 10, 11, 12 years old watching Bagman, it probably wouldn't be that bad. But for like someone like us, like it just doesn't do anything. It really doesn't do anything. So pretty boring, actually. Then I watched Don't Open Till Christmas from 1984. I fucking love Don't Open Till Christmas. The thing I love about Don't Open Till Christmas, because it's like it kind of takes the narrative of like killer Santa Clauses and it flips it on its back, and it's like Santa Claus is getting picked off one by one. Like that whole thing is just hilarious to me. Then I randomly watched Silent Night, Deadly Night Part 5, The Toy Maker.
Which is pretty good.
It's pretty fun. It's honestly, dude, the movie is like, it's so like A to B, and then the third act and a couple reveals happen. You're just like, what? This movie's just pure. It's so unhinged in the third act. It's ridiculous. I love it, man. It's so much fun. It's not a great movie, but like, it's fun. It's honestly, if I was to pick one of the, which I call always 3 sequels, part 3, 4, or 5. I don't lump part 1 and 2 in there, whatever. But like out of those 3, this is definitely the one I go to for sure.
Yeah, for sure. The third one is legitimately like a pretty bad movie. I rewatched it for Duncan's podcast 2 years ago, maybe, or it might have been last year. No, I think it was last year. Did that box set come out last year?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I watched it last year for his show, and I thought it was even worse than I remembered.
Yeah, dude, we actually had a comment about that because we mentioned this last show, and they're like, the person said, I really like that movie, but can kind of see
Harley likes it.
Yeah, I mean, it obviously has its fan bases, but I'm with you, man. It's boring. It's like a fucking bore, total boring shit for me. Yeah. So another 2024, I watched Minoki the movie, The Phantom in the Rain. Highly disappointed with it, man.
I don't even know what the hell that is.
I did not really like the story. Like it just, dude, it could have been so much better if they just went full horror with it. Like they have this idea going, which is fine, but it takes so long to develop, and I just find it like it was kind of uninteresting. Honestly, the animation in it wasn't really my favorite either. It's like super hand drawn looking, and it's very scratchy looking and stuff, and like
it's textured.
It's very, very textured, and it's kind of odd when you start watching it because you think that you can see through the characters, but it's just like the texture in it. It was like blowing my mind for a while when I was watching. I'm like, am I seeing through the characters? Like it was weird, but just overall, I didn't think it was that great. It's actually probably one of my least favorite like animes I've watched in a long time. But it's not horrible or nothing. I gave it like 3 stars. But
yeah, I actually thought this movie was like really, really good.
Really? I didn't think so.
I thought this movie was like really good.
Really, dude? I was actually kind of getting a little bit bored in it. I was getting
Mononoke, the movie Phantom in the Rain.
I was getting a little bit bored with it, man. I was like,
the thing is, though,
how do you guys even know about this? I've never even heard of that.
Mononoke. There's a series Mononoke that came out in like 2007. Yeah. I got a few episodes in, but it's like a really like well respected, like kind of like cosmic, like strange, like horror anime. Yeah. And these are like you don't have to watch that to like know about to understand these movies, but it's a spin off of those. It's like this is the first movie to play in trilogy, so I was actually like kind of anticipating this movie this year, and then it just randomly popped up on Netflix, and I
just wish it had did a little bit more with the myth, the mythological aspect of it and stuff.
There is one thing, but it doesn't like really like give you any sort of explanation. It very like just says figure it out as you go, and it kind of dispenses information like with like a fire hose.
Yeah, I agree with that. And like I said, I just wanted a little bit more horror aspects to it too. I felt like there was missed opportunity there with that.
There's a lot of tradition, like horror ideas and a lot of horror symbolism, but it doesn't really like play out traditionally, like kind of like atmospherically like a horror movie. I get what you're saying with that.
Yeah, that's a good point. That's a good point.
But it's like if you just like look at it story wise, it's this apparition story like built on the ghosts of like the suffering of the harem of Japanese women in like feudal times. And I thought that just like there's a lot to. I kind of like looked into it a little bit too, so maybe that's it. I was going
to. Because I was like, am I missing shit? Like, I know there's definitely more deeper meaning.
Well, that's because I tried watching the series and I got like 4 or 5 episodes in, and I was having a really hard time following it. So like I kind of looked up like what these characters. Also, I knew going in like, oh, this is like the mysterious medicine seller. Like I know where they are. You know what I mean? I know where they are. So that I had at least a foundational knowledge like going into it.
Right. Yeah. I mean, it's interesting, but
that's definitely a movie in general that's just like not going to be for everyone. That's going to be like a bell curve movie.
Going to be only for people like Tyler.
Yeah. I can totally get his appeal in it, man, for sure. But then of course I rewatched The Leech. I had to throw it on because I had the Blu-ray sitting out there, and I was like, fuck, I'm gonna rewatch it, man.
That movie is really fun.
It's fucking fun.
I haven't watched it since. Did we cover it on the show?
No, I don't think we did.
Really?
Yeah, I don't think we did actually. Maybe no, maybe we did. No, I don't think we did. But yeah, Jeremy Gardner, man, he's so fucking unhinged in this movie, man. Like Graham Skipper plays, he's basically a priest. He's a man of the cloth, and he finds Jeremy Gardner like sleeping in his church after a preach session, and he offers to like drive him home and stuff, and he gets there.
Session.
Yeah. He offers to give him a ride home and shit, and he gets there, and his girlfriend's throwing his shit out there, and one thing leads to another, and he ends up taking him into his house. So, well, you can stay here for a little bit, and it just goes completely batshit after that. So
it's literally just Jeremy Gardner fucking leeching off of this dude.
Yeah, he's so unhinged, man. He just has no respect.
He's
great. Jeremy Gardner's great as a character.
How in the fuck does he not get more like recognition?
Honestly, man? Like
he's so good in everything.
Well, The Battery to me is like literally like one of the best like micro budget movies I think I've ever seen.
If I was to make a top 10 list of movies from like post 2000, like on that kind of level, like indie type films and shit, that is got to be up there. It's so
that movie. It shows so much promise. Like the writing in it is super good. Like the cinematography is good. Like the minimalist use of like everything to make a zombie movie where you don't even like show zombies for the most part is like
it's secondary, right? It's a movie about really a movie about friendship, really. Like
the writing is like excellent.
Yeah, but have you guys seen Tex Montana Will Survive ever?
No.
See, you guys slack on that. Yeah. I've been telling people to watch that movie for years.
Yeah, I need to check that. I've seen a ton of Jeremy Gardner stuff.
I mean, it's not a horror movie, but it's fucking hilarious, dude.
Yeah, I've heard that from, I think actually even Godzilla, he mentioned that to me. I think he's watched it before and he says it's really good. So, but honestly, man, Jeremy Gardner's been busy the last few years. Like he has these movies, like he did After Midnight, which whatever.
I thought that was like the weakest thing I've seen.
I didn't really care for that movie.
It's just that like
it has its fans though.
And Sadistic Intentions, like he did those movies in the same year, right? I thought like, his performances were really good, but like the movie themselves were whatever. I think I liked Sadistic Intentions a little bit more, but he's done some good stuff like Off Season. You guys know my love for Off Season. I think that was even in my top 10 a couple years ago. Love that movie. Spring Bliss. He was fucking great in Bliss. Yeah. I mean, I forgot about Christmas Bliss. Bloody Christmas, man. He's in that. Psychopaths. That was another good one. The Mind's Eye. He definitely likes to work with Joe Begos, man.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, that's just one guy that I'm always looking forward to checking out, man. So far, he hasn't missed for me.
Who, Joe Begos?
Yeah, he's like 5 for 5.
Has he made anything lately?
Well, Christmas Bloody Christmas.
That was his last movie.
Yeah, a couple years ago.
Yeah. He needs to make more stuff.
And then before that was, of course, VFW. Bliss, I think, came out in the same year. Was it the same year those movies came out?
I feel like it was.
They were close. But yeah. Always that dude I'm looking for. So, of course, Jeremy Garner was in Spring also. That's pretty cool. But yeah.
I like that.
Yeah, he's in just right at the beginning.
The Leech is fucking awesome, man. It's so much fun. Then we watched on Friday night. I watched Red One. The wife wanted to watch it. the new Rock movie.
I heard it's awful.
It's fucking fun, dude.
It's awful.
Oh, really?
Dude, it looks so bad, actually, because I saw the trailer in the theater and I was like, oh my God, that looks bad. Dude, it's bombed because it's really long. It's like over 2 hours, like 2 hours and 10 minutes or something like that. But like the narrative is fun, dude. Like I like this whole thing of like Santa Claus and Krampus, and it reveals that they're actually like brothers and shit. And it makes complete sense as to why like Krampus exists and stuff. And they have this crazy witch character that looks like Avril Lavigne. It's fucking nuts. Like there's a lot of moving parts in this film. Like there's so much narrative and like so much things that are happening. It's really fun, dude. I actually really enjoyed it, man. I'm not gonna lie, man. It was goofy fun. The Rock was great in it. Like he plays like this giant elf, and it's an acronym, which is really funny. I won't reveal it, but you know, of course, he's like fucking elf and shit. It's good. I thought it was fun, but I can see people not liking it for sure. Then I rewatched Once Upon a Time at Christmas from 2017. It's another indie film. It's fuck, man. I never hear anybody talk about this movie, man. I don't know.
What is it?
It's called Once Upon a Time at Christmas.
Is that a horror movie?
Yeah, dude. It's like batshit too. It's crazy.
I don't think I've ever seen that.
Yeah. It's basically kind of like retelling the story of 12 Days of Christmas, like horror wise. So like a lot of people die and shit. It's pretty cool, man.
Partridge in a Pear Tree.
Yeah, dude. It's pretty gnarly. I think it's honestly one of those super hella underrated indie kind of like slasher films, you want to call it that. Really good stuff, man. I got it when it came out. I know I talked about it a couple times on my channel and stuff, and you know, I had the odd person be like, yeah, you're right, man. This movie is really good. I never hear anyone bring it up. It's such a shame. Such a shame. But yeah, good stuff from 2017 indie film. And besides the featured reviews this week, Silent Bite, He Sees You When You're Sleeping, and Dear Santa. That's what I watched. So mixed bag of Christmas and 24 movies. Yeah,
I got two other 24s in besides these three and Y2K. I got in that Mads movie, which I definitely didn't dislike it as much as Moodz did, but I also didn't really like it either. I kind of agree. Just never. It's more concerned about like its technical aspect than it is about actually making a movie. I felt like.
Which one?
I like it.
Mads.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, dude, there's no like good payoff really, and it's just like you just kind of get it's like even like the pass the baton thing doesn't like bother me per se that much, but it just like it felt like it was just trying to set up its next sequence.
Well, that like you get my whole track and field pass the baton type reference to these movies because I feel like it has this idea and it just never delivers it. It's weird.
Yeah.
Right? Like it just keeps kind of passing off these characters and keeps progressing forward, and then you're like, that's it. No.
Yeah, like I can respect the craft, but it just didn't like really like feel like anything but like an exercise to me, like as far as a movie went. Mm-hmm. But I did watch that movie Sleep, the Korean movie, and I thought that movie was really good. I definitely recommend that one. basically this guy like just suddenly starts like talking in his sleep, and then it escalates where he's like clawing himself, like scratching in his sleep, and he's doing like more weird stuff, and it's like he's like a different person when he's sleeping. And then his wife like keeps getting like freaked out and escalates, like brings him to a specialist, and he's afraid like he's gonna hurt like the newborn baby.
That's interesting.
Yeah, and it goes. I can't even like. It has like a twist that like it makes you realize the movie something you wouldn't even thought it was. Like it's actually a really cool take on kind of a tired subgenre, but I can't really say what it is because that's the twist of it. But I liked it a lot, and like it had a really good build to the end that you're kind of like on the edge of the seat for. I definitely catch that one before the end of the year.
All right.
Oh, okay. I guess I was going to read out this thing, but Bloody Disgusting just went down.
Oh, no.
What the fuck? It was, what the fuck, man? It was like just some of the new films are being released this week. But
yeah, it is down.
Yeah, it literally just went down when I had the page open. It's like, oh, Origin is unreachable. I'm like, what the fuck? Okay. Somebody didn't pay their fucking internet bill. But yeah. JP, did you have anything else?
No, I don't think so.
Yeah, you just sounded so concerned at the beginning of the show. You're like, I want to get this. Let's get this going. I need to.
Well, my thing is, I don't like talking about stuff we could talk about on the show while we're not on the show.
I know we do it all the time. We always have these great conversations, and then we're like, oh, we should probably start recording.
Yeah, yeah, because we were starting to talk about like how we were forming our list and stuff. I was like, this is content.
Mm-hmm. Right. Well, anyways, I mean, that's pretty much all I have. So should we move on? I guess. I guess we don't need a 2-hour intro every week, or this one probably went on for.
That was like still like $1.15.
Probably at least, yeah. Yeah, last week it was like, I swear it was like 2 hours and 5 minutes. How the fuck did that even happen?
We went through a lot of what we watched. It was the same thing, and then we did like 2 lists. Yeah, what else we talked about.
Right. Yeah, there was the top 10 horror movies about writers. Yeah, right. Movies about writers.
I think we just like discussed Stephen King a bunch too before we actually got started.
Right. Okay. Well, I guess let's get into the featured reviews. So that'll conclude the intro, and we'll be back with Silent Bite. He sees you while you're sleep. He sees you when you're sleeping. And Dear Santa, momentarily.
Hey yo, it's about that time for the 22 Shots crew to get buck wild and do what we do. You got that fatty in hand, so throw us a few, and we gon' hit your ass up with a bonus review. Yeah.
All right, totally tricked y'alls. We got a bonus review for y'all. All right, so before we get into the featured reviews here on episode 277, we're going to get into a little short film made by the homie Mikey Fisher. As you guys recall, Mikey's been on the show before, and he actually promoted this short Christmas film sometime last year, was it, JP?
I can't remember. When did we have Mikey on? I feel like it was 2 years ago.
It may have been. It actually makes sense that it would be 2 years ago because the IMDb year on it says 2022, so it would have been about the time. I'm thinking that he promoted it on here, but doesn't really matter.
He also promoted one of his other films. I can't remember. Do you remember what episode, what show we did that Mikey was on?
No, I actually
cannot remember. I was trying to figure it out earlier, and I could not for the life of me remember what we talked about on that show.
Yeah, no idea.
But I love Mikey Fish. Mikey Fish, long-time supporter of the pod.
Mm-hmm.
Great guy. He's out there doing his acting thing. I remember initially him talking about this because they did like a fake trailer for it. They were filming something else, and they did like a fake trailer, like a mock trailer. Mm-hmm. And then it was like very liked, so they decided to extend it into a full short, and I think they should extend it into a feature film. I think that they totally should try to make this a feature.
I think so too. Actually, it's got a really cool setup, and it's okay. Well, anyways, let's kind of get into it. So the IMDb date on it is from 2022, and it's a short film called Up on the Housetop. Of course, like we said, it is a Christmas themed short horror film directed by Michael Fisher and Dakota Millett. I believe he's the other guy in the short with the long hair. So, but we'll give you a quick little synopsis on this. It's only 15 minutes long, and it definitely should be longer. All right, so 4 siblings reunite at Christmas after the sudden death of their parents. But after accidentally killing Santa on Christmas Eve, they must survive the night against his 8 killer flying reindeer. So as far as I can think of, man, and I've seen a lot of Christmas horror films, I don't remember a lot with killer reindeer. So,
yeah, and that's why it's like really cool, because you don't have it's original in a territory where everything's been done, but yeah, and I think that they do a really good job of obviously this is a very low budget effort, right? Like it does not look like it. You know what I mean?
No, it doesn't.
Visually, I mean, like the cinematography, the sound design, the set pieces, like everything looks like totally professional film. But I just knowing that they didn't have like a huge budget, what they did for whatever money they had was pretty amazing. Like they don't show the reindeer too much, they use a lot of like POV shots and stuff like that, but it works totally. And it's a comedy horror thing at the same time. The comedy is pretty funny in the short amount of time that you have there to spend with the characters, and they're all like, I could totally see this being expanded into a whole film because everybody's like kind of interesting, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, I was right away. I was like, wow, this thing looks really good. Like it looks super professional, and the acting was really on point. Mikey, I always thought was a really good actor himself. He comes off as a very likable person in everything that he seems to do. But I like the whole premise of 4 siblings, and it's a fun setup to what happens right away. It's like such a great setup. Yeah. I'm just like, what the fuck happens? Like, you killed Santa Claus. No, I didn't.
And they kind of bicker like siblings, which is fun. I like that much better than like 2 couples. You know what I mean?
Right.
Because you get 2 couples so often, and it's like, oh, this is like adds a different dynamic to it. And like the fact that they fucking murder Santa Claus with birdshot.
Well, they set it up well too, because one of the characters, the other brother, he says, I've got birdshot in this thing. He's like, and then one of the sisters said, "Are you sure it's birdshot?" Yeah, I'm 100% sure it is. And then, of course, something happens, and it's obviously not birdshot.
Yeah, it's like, we're just gonna pepper him a little bit.
I mean, I will say though, like the moment of or the scene that we get gore was actually looked pretty good. It looked really good. I like that type of setup or that type of scene where you get that. I'm not going to give it away, but I really like that. It looked good. It was shot well and stuff like that. But yeah, I like the way they did the reindeer with the POV. Shot POV, because it being a comedy horror, I mean, that adds to the comedy of it. If you see it, then it might just come off a little bit goofy, but like the way it's in the POV, I think it works so much better for what it is, because what it is. It's the reindeer getting revenge for killing Santa Claus. It's like a revenge film. It's fucking hilarious.
Yeah, and they do like a great job with the Christmas atmosphere too. Like the snow, like when they open the door and like all the snow's like coming in the house, the lighting's great. I'm like, damn, dude, this is like better than like features that I've seen these days with Christmas, like getting the Christmas like feel right and like the atmosphere and the snow and stuff like that. I was like very impressed, and I'm not just saying that because it's Mikey either. Like if I didn't like it, I would tell you. I would be surprised if anybody watched it and didn't like it.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, like I said, it looks very, or like you said, it looks very professional. It's acted well. It's fun, and just the way it ends, I'm like, I just want more.
I know, right? Especially like the shot of the roof. Right, I was just like, oh, this is like awesome, dude. I want to. I'm like, if this never becomes a feature, I will be disappointed.
Yeah, I mean, because there's a moment where one of the characters kind of disappears from, the from the short itself, and then it kind of just ends. You're like, oh well, what the fuck is happening, right?
Yeah,
you totally want more at that moment because you don't know what happened to this person, and then what's going to happen. I mean, with 8 killer reindeer, that's a funny ass setup to me, man. I just can't imagine. But like something like this that would work well, and like a full length feature would be. It really comes down to the writing. If you got to keep it fresh with the comedy too, because I see like where they're going for with the comedy and then the horror and stuff like that. So if you keep it fresh with that, because you can't have the killer reindeer like for 90 minutes in a film, right? It'll just get a little bit old. But
here's what you do in a feature, dude. You take Rudolph, and he's the final boss,
right?
Right, and you make him on 2 legs. And think of like, you ever see those videos of kangaroos that are just really fucking buff?
Yeah.
I make it like that with the fucking glowing nose and make him on 2 legs and this giant fucking monstrous reindeer. That's what I want to see.
It's actually one of my favorite memes that I've seen floating around recently. It's like kangaroos are basically just deer that went to jail. And it shows like a picture of a deer and then it's got this big jacked up kangaroo and it's fucking so good. But Rudolph would have to be the end boss. He would have to be the end boss for sure, because it makes complete sense with his big glowing nose and make him all demonic and evil. Who knows? But no, I really like the premise. And I'm actually quite shocked. Like after I watched this a few days back, I was like I kept thinking to myself, I'm like, I can't believe that no one's used like killer reindeer before that I can think of. So it's pretty unique. It's pretty special, and I really enjoyed it. Like you mentioned the aesthetic, and that was the first thing I noticed too. I was like, wow, this really feels super Christmassy. They did a good job. But again, the problem with short films is that if they're really good, you just want more.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What did you think, Tyler?
I didn't know about this.
Wait, you didn't watch it?
Nobody told me about this.
Dude, what are you doing here then?
That's why I was like, I didn't know what was going on. No one told me about this. I was like, I don't even know what this is called.
Well, we are in the middle of a show, so you only watched 3 of the 4 reviews?
Nobody told me about this. When did we discuss this?
I said, make sure you guys watch Mikey's short for the episode too. And then Moodz is like, yeah, he messaged me about that.
Yeah.
I did not see that.
Oh, shit.
I didn't even know what it was called.
Yeah, well, check it out. It's only 15 minutes, and then
I looked it up when you said it, and like,
well, we should just pause this right now, and you can watch it. And we'll just finish the review.
I was kind of like thinking that, but like this is what I kind of assumed happens because when I looked it up as you were talking about it, and I saw only like 100 people had seen this, I was like, oh, maybe he sent like you guys a link to watch it or something.
No, it's still on YouTube.
Oh,
yeah, it's on YouTube. It's I think there's quite a few views on it now.
It was just on Letterboxd. I looked up the name on Letterboxd, and there was like
it played it it played at Fantasia last year.
I didn't do it last year.
No, this past year.
Oh, well, either way, I didn't know. I'll watch it. If it's on YouTube, I'll watch it before we do the top 10.
Yeah, it was either this year or the year before. I remember him telling me that it was going to Fantasia and stuff, and I think it for a short film, dude. I mean, pretty impressive. I've only seen one other Christmas short film that I loved, and that is Revenge. Yeah.
When I was asking earlier, like in the process, like, oh, you guys calling any short films for Christmas? That's what I was kind of getting at.
Oh. Yeah. Yeah, no, I mean, you can. Anybody can put anything on their list. I don't really care.
Yeah.
But
I was just making parameters myself because then it just makes it easier for me to disclude or include. Well, I mean, it's more, I wanted to have like the most Christmassy, kind of set horror films, but like I said, there's a few that would definitely be on the list if I've just broadened the spectrum. But there's a lot of those. There's too many of those. The brain. It's on Christmas. Come on. It's on a Christmas movie.
We got to get Mikey back on the show at some point.
Yeah, maybe we'll get him on to discuss if he's possibly trying to get the funding for making a feature, or they're just going to move on and just keep it the way it is, or who knows.
Yeah.
No idea.
Fantastic, phenomenal job, though, from everybody involved. If you've any of the listeners out there, just go on YouTube and type in Up on the Housetop. Check out the the short. Support it. It's good stuff. And
yeah, I mean, even the artwork's awesome. The tagline is, won't you guide my sleigh tonight? It's awesome. But yeah, I mean, you'll be pleasantly surprised at how professional this thing is. It's super professional. Like read from every spec of it, man. It looks like it's done by veterans, but they did a good job. This is really what I love about indie filmmakers. They're doing shit like this, and it's just fantastic. Again,
that's why like sometimes I'm not like so quick to give like indie movies a pass on things, because like you could like with today's technology, you can make things look good with not a lot of money.
Yeah, but you know what? You can make things look good, but you still have to have the acting, and you still have to have the other specs, you know, effects wise, and you know, even aesthetic is a big thing. Music, atmosphere, lighting. Like, there's so many things. Like, you can shoot your movie look like, you know, very professional, but there's so many things you have to work on.
There's so many things you can do to elevate your movie without money.
One thing one of my biggest complaints with indie films is obviously, besides some directors just using all the footage that they shoot and make a 2 hour and 20-minute slasher film. You're like, okay, bro, you need to edit that down.
That's what I would do.
And you know, the minor things like I mean, we've talked about, you know, other things with sound problems and things like that, but it's like, I don't know, man, there's a couple things in indie films is like, you had sometimes, you know, I don't really like to harp on acting and stuff, but that makes a big difference. It really does. Right? It makes a huge difference in your film. And like, when you watch this, you're like, damn, dude, it's really good. Everybody comes off as very good at what they're doing, you know? And I don't know how much, you know, history a lot of these actors and actresses have and experience and stuff like that. But to me, it comes off really well. So, but music is a big problem though, too. Indie films, you got to use
not for me that much
generic stuff. Like, you use like, see, you don't notice it as much as I do, but like sometimes like you just, I mean, obviously you're not putting big budget scores in there and stuff like that. And, you know, even songs and shit like that, not going to get the rights to that stuff. So it's always going to have a little bit of a different feel, but anyways, that is up on the Housetop. Mikey Fisher, good job. 15 minutes short, 2022. And yeah, with that said, we're going to get into these featured reviews here on episode 277. Check you guys in a minute.
And now, our feature presentation.
Alrighty, so getting into the featured reviews here on episode 277, Christmas Show 2024. And we are going to start with, actually, all three of these films are from 2024, so all modern stuff. We're going to start with a film called Silent Bite, cleverly titled Silent
How are you? Did you look at the release dates on these, or did you just randomize them?
I literally am just this is the way I watched them.
Dude, fuck you. Why are we counting them the way you watched them?
I don't know. That's just how I did it. I'm like, I was like, well, they're all from 24. I don't really need to do the dates per se, so whatever. But we'll start with that.
I actually watched this one first as well, so
what's this one last?
So I watched this one, then the other indie one, and then the Jack Black one.
That's exactly how I watched them, so that's the order that we're doing them in.
All right. Well, then I agree with you.
I want the other indie one, Jack Black. This one.
Okay, so synopsis on Silent Bite. A gang of bank robbers take shelter in a motel after a Christmas Eve bank heist. Unbeknownst to them, they are not the most dangerous things seeking refuge on this cold Christmas night. So this is actually a Canadian film. Yes, it was all shot in Ontario. So interesting.
Okay.
I noticed that. So yeah, Christmas horror in Canada. All right. Yeah, so I mean, of course I'm gonna check out. I mean, there was actually, I think there's like a bunch more Christmas films.
You bought this actually, right?
Yeah, it seems like a good place to shoot Christmas movies.
Yeah. I mean, it looks like it definitely was cold there at the time they shot this, because you can see the breath and shit. So not actually fake ass snow. I mean, Southern Ontario doesn't really get that crazy winters, but they get like nasty ice storms and shit. But it was definitely colder there. But yeah, no, I actually pre-ordered. I saw this one and I pre-ordered it because the Blu-ray was like super cheap.
Who released it up there?
It's like a weird label. I can't remember. I don't have my disc with me.
Okay.
But yeah, it's like some kind of random thing. But yeah, Silent Bite. What are your guys, JP? What are your thoughts on Silent Bite?
Well, before I get into my thoughts, I do just want to share one thing. So this movie takes place in like a motel, right?
Yeah.
And is it a motel or a hotel? Do they show the outside of it?
They say motel, but it's definitely a hotel because hotels have floors. Motels are just one floor.
Yeah.
Not always, right? There's a few motels that have like the outside.
Oh yeah, I guess like the two levels.
The double deckers, the 2 levels.
But I feel like this is definitely like it says motel. It could be, but it's a really fancy one.
It feels like a motel, but it look like the scope of it seems more like a hotel.
I mean, maybe this is just like not. Maybe I'm just way off, but like I don't know if I've ever seen a motel that has like a full bar
lounge. I know it's got to be.
They exist, but
yeah, I'm sure they exist somewhere.
I don't remember ever seeing a motel that had a lounge personally, because you think it's just like a motel. It's like here's your check-in office, and then here's your fucking room over here, right? Like this. It has it also has a huge pool in it too, which is.
Yeah, I have seen motels with pools.
Yeah, usually
outdoor ones.
Outdoor ones.
Yeah, outdoor ones. Indoor ones, you're right. Unless it's like a special room. Actually, I do remember. You know what? It's funny. I do remember as a kid staying at a motel, like in Cape Cod, which is just basically a tourist city, and it was one of those outdoor ones, but there was its own specific building that was like a really shitty lounge, and they also had like one random like little building that had a pool in it, and it was a crappy pool.
So I like things set in motels and hotels, obviously, because that's the industry I work in, so I always find it cool. But one thing that I found funny was so one of the questions, or one of the things that the most common fucking things that I have to deal with, if you are anyone out there listening and you stay at a hotel, you're a fucking douchebag if you do this, and learn to stop. But whenever I get this call literally multiple times a week about incidentals. And so an incidental is basically like a security deposit that goes on your card whenever you check into a hotel. Like literally like 99% of hotels do it.
Yeah.
The amount of people that call and say that, ask what that is, and then say that that's never happened to me before, and I stay at hotels all the time. The amount of people that say that is fucking insane, and you are stupid if you ever ask that.
Yeah. I've never once ever not had to pay a damage deposit on a room or whatever you want to call them, incidentals, because obviously you have to do that, dude. People are fucking idiots in rooms.
You're stupid if you think you're gonna fool someone who knows what they're talking about, that nobody makes you do this.
Yeah,
dude. I know, and it's one of those things. It's like, dude, like I'm like. And people, and I'll explain it, and people will be like, literally think that I'm retarded. And I'm like, I do this for a living, bro. I've been doing this for 11 years.
Yeah, like who do they think they're talking to? Like you're talking to the person that works in the hotel. Do they not? Do these people on the other line think that you don't know what you're talking about?
All the time. They all the time.
It's insane to me. Yeah.
Or like they'll tell me they prepaid, and I'm like, no, that's not one of those kind. Right. Because there are prepaid ones. Usually if you go through a third party like Expedia or something, which is garbage and I don't recommend doing. But
what's the first thing they ask you for when you check into Wasteland? Your card, so they can put the security deposit on the roof.
Right. Yeah, exactly. So when people say that's never happened to them before, it kills me. And I just thought it was funny because in this movie, one of the first, like when the dude's like checking in, he's like, and I guess you need a card for the incidentals too, huh? And the dude's like, yeah, actually we do take that. And he's like, shut up. And he's like, you know what I mean? Like, and I was like, look, they even fucking know in this movie.
Yeah.
So it's like, it's such a common thing that it's literally probably my least favorite question, because it's the most common question. I've answered it hundreds, if not thousands, tens of thousands of times at this point. I hate that question. If you don't understand the concept behind a security deposit, have you, like, they do it when you rent cars as well. I don't know if people fucking have never rented a car, but
yeah,
like,
they
if
do.
you rent cars, they do that there too. It's just a deposit of money that we hold in case you buy something from the store, or you charge something to the room, or you damage it. Because if we don't take that and we charge and we post the charge in our system, and then when you go to check out, your card declines because you had the exact money on there. That's why we take that extra, because then we are guaranteed to cover any other additions to your room. Because we actually don't, like, if you come down to the thing and buy something, like, we don't necessarily put more payment on your card right there. We do it at the end when you leave. So that's why that little extra is there. And obviously for damages too. And some places do, like, I've seen hotels do like $150 a day for incidentals. So our little $50 amount that we do for your whole stay is not that big a deal. And also another thing that I hate,
it's only $50, really. I think Wasteland's like 100. Is it not 100?
No, I think it's 50 at Wasteland.
Was it? I honestly never even check. I never check, man. I'm thinking HorrorCon in Calgary. I think it's like 150.
Yeah. There's different amounts at different places.
Yeah.
And like I said, like, there's some hotels that will literally do 150 per day. But another thing that I hate that people do is they'll use their debit card, and then they'll like that. Then they'll be like, "Oh, well, that $50 didn't come back to my account yet, and it's been 2 days." And it's like, "Yeah, you checked in on Friday. It's now Sunday. Banks are fucking closed, and and we release it when you check out. So it's up to the bank. Every bank has processing. Like, every bank has time that it takes for stuff to go through. I don't know why. Ask the fucking banks. You know what I mean? We release it
your
when
bank. Don't be mad at me.
Yeah, and people will be like, "It's still not back on my card." It's like, dude, it could take 3 to 10 business days, like most transactions with anywhere. Return something at Walmart and put it back on your card. They'll tell you it could take, so amount of business days. But people use these debit cards. Like, I literally had a guy tell me I ruined his life over this shit. This guy checked in with his debit card, and we did the $50 security deposit. Then when he left, we released it, but it didn't go back on his card yet because it takes time and banks are closed on the weekend usually. And this guy calls me back and he's like, "Oh, I didn't know about this." And I'm like, "Well, you booked online. It explains it online." And he's like, "So I'm not going to get it back today?" And I was like, "Probably not." I was like, "Banks usually take a little while." And he's like, "Man, you're really ruining my life here. Like, that's all the money I had." And I'm like, "Dude, like, what?" Like, I think if that's all the money you had, you're saying it a Hampton Inn. I don't think I'm the one that ruined your life.
I feel like your customers like don't go to hotels very often or some shit. Like,
well, these are just hotels that get upset and they think
it's so ridiculous, dude. Like, this has been a thing since like forever. Incidentals, man, you got to pay. Like, you're not just gonna give someone a room and they can kick the shit out and just fucking bail on you, man. Yeah. It's not gonna happen, bro. That's so silly. But
so anytime I watch stuff with hotels, like even when they're talking about like the hotel screen where they're seeing like the layout, like what rooms people are in and stuff, I think that stuff's cool because like you don't see a lot of like the insider stuff with hotels, but since I've been doing it so long, I feel like I'm always like, I'm like an expert on the shit, you know what I mean? So it's like, I like seeing how it's portrayed in movies. And I actually think this one did pretty good with it.
Yeah, I remember when you got into the industry, like that's how long we've been friends for.
Dude, it was literally, and like, anybody who don't know me, like I didn't, go to school for like hospitality or tourism or anything. I literally just fell into the hotel industry. Mm-hmm. I did masonry work before that. I did, tree cutting before that. Most of my jobs were like manual labor stuff before I got into hotels, and I just ended up falling into hotels. And I like hotels, but it's definitely been a journey. But yeah, literally, I think I got my hotel job in 2013. So right before I met Moodz right before it. I remember we were actually doing the fright. What was it called? The body bags, or no? What did we call it?
It was Fright Tube.
No, not Fright Tube. I remember Fright Tube. What did we do? The burial grounds. Sorry,
burial grounds. Yeah. Which is funny. We brought that up on like last show too.
Yeah,
I know.
It's weird.
But we were doing that show, and I was like, I won't be able to do like this day because I'll be working now or something. So I remember I got that job doing that show, like literally right before we started 22 Shots.
Yep.
Yeah, probably like 2 months before we started 22 Shots, which is crazy. But I've moved hotels since then as well, changed positions and all that. But the movie, I don't know. I mean, I think that it's, I think it has a nice Christmas atmosphere.
It's got really good Christmas aesthetic to it. Like way better than I thought it was going to have. Like when they get into the lounge, which is actually a really funny part in the film, like this guy didn't book rooms for themselves. He booked the lounge. They can all stay together. I thought that was actually pretty funny. But anyways, go on.
Yeah. The lounge. Yeah. So I like the aesthetic of the movie. I thought the acting was not too bad for being a lower budget movie. I thought some of the guys were funny. I think the vampire stuff is just not very interesting to me.
Yeah.
Very generic feeling.
I agree with that. In fact, it just feels like a tag on to the film. And then they like the core feel of this movie feels like it's like it almost feels like a fucking low budget holiday version of like Reservoir Dogs in a sense.
It feels
they even do like a little scene where they're talking about like, why do I got to be named this? Like,
yes,
I want to.
They're doing Reservoir Dogs for sure.
And then felt very Guy Ritchie-esque to me.
Doesn't it feel like it's like Reservoir Dogs kind of meets like From Dusk Till Dawn in a sense? Like that
in
type
a way.
of thing.
I think
which is also Tarantino. So
I got
take it that this guy is
barrel and like Snatch vibes, like kind of
absolutely, yeah. Because you get the lead guy, the head guy, and he's British, so you get that type of Snatch. You get that whole vibe from it too. Totally.
Yeah, that's what I was picking up from it.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, man, I didn't really care for this.
Yeah, I like this movie very much.
I wasn't a huge fan of this, man. I know, like, here I'm just shitting on every Canadian film lately, but biasism aside, man, like this one I thought I like the setup. Like I like these guys who robbed this bank, and I really like what they did though too, because he used my mentality where like if you hide in plain sight, that's the last place anyone's gonna look. They rob this place and they go and fucking mount up in this motel, and it's only 200 yards from the bank that they robbed, because like no one's gonna check the first fucking motel, right? I really like that idea.
Yeah, I mean,
right? The cops are literally ripping by because they're like, there's no way they stopped at the motel. So that's actually really funny. But yeah, you're right though. Like the most interesting part of the film is honestly like our robbers and like their dialogues back and forth and like what they're trying to accomplish and stuff. And then you get introduced like to this vampire aspect of it, where there's four? Is it 3 or 4 vampire?
I think it's 4, right?
Four women that are in the hotel, and of course they're there. And then I still don't really understand the whole thing. Like we get introduced to these vampires, and they've got another girl tied up, and they bite her. So she starts changing, and it becomes a whole kind of theme throughout the film with this dorky fucking computer geek that's part of the
oh my god,
part of the the squad and stuff. And I mean, that's pretty corny, honestly. That whole relationship is super super corny and stuff. But what's the deal? Like they just had this girl tied up in this film, and then they're turning her. Like what the fuck was, like, we get introduced to this character already tied up. Why did they have her tied up anyways? Why wouldn't you just fucking turn her?
It just felt like this movie to me, like it had this like kind of vision where he wanted like this cool, like quirky group of criminals, and he's like, I got this is what I want to do. And I do think like I was looking forward to this by the opening scene. I thought the title cards were cool.
Dude, the best thing about the movie is the title, the animation on the title cards is fucking awesome.
And then like I thought the entrance scene like kind of made it feel like, okay, this might be a cool little movie, and it just so downhill from there. And it just felt like he had like the vision of basically like this like crew, and he didn't have like anything else to go along with it. Like the women are so uninteresting compared to the men. They have like no type of personality.
They're so flat. They're so flat, right? All the vampire girls, like they're flat. They're not like overly attractive. Like they're trying to be, but like it's just there's no flavor within these characters.
No enthusiasm. Like these guys feel like a bunch of bros together. Like these women have like no chemistry,
and it just feels forced that they're even in the hotel or in the motel.
Yeah.
Like it doesn't even feel right that they're even there, and it's so silly. And like I don't know, man. Like this one was honestly it ran the normal length of time. Like it was a 90-minute film. It didn't feel overly long. Like I was, I kept watching. I was fine with it and stuff. But like it doesn't do anything. Like the kills, quote unquote. Are you fucking kidding me, dude? No, they're not even okay. They're actually really bad. Like there's a point in the film where why would you ever decide? Like this would never happen. He does. So we have this like tech geek. He's part of this crew, and he's there to like, he's the computer guy, right? He does all the, he does all the intel for these robberies and stuff. And there's a scene where he doesn't know that this female character is a vampire, and he stabs her in the chest with a spoon, and she like disintegrates.
Yeah.
Why would you even attempt that? Like I started laughing out loud. I'm like, who the fuck stabbed somebody with a fucking spoon? I guess when you're dark, whatever. But like, and then you realize like, oh shit, what the hell is going on here? Like this isn't right. But man, like honestly, these are some of the lamest vampires I've ever seen in a vampire film. They're so uninteresting. They're boring. The dialogue that they're that they're saying throughout oh man, it's so bad.
Yeah, the dialogues are bad.
Really bad.
Overall was like pretty not good.
I thought the dudes weren't bad, but like the whole female cast sucked. Like
I think the dudes are pretty entertaining for the most part.
I like the guy that was the driver, that gets killed outside.
Rudolph.
Yeah, Rudolph. Like I thought he was actually really good.
Yeah, I actually like the naming conventions.
Yeah, the naming was cool. I like that.
It's fucking Reservoir Dogs, man.
Yeah, it's fun though, because they're doing instead of colors, it's Christmas, iconic Christmas shit.
It's so corny though. Like they're housed up in room 666. Like, come on, there's no fucking room 666 in there. It's ridiculous.
Right? Not the first time that'll be referenced this show.
Right, exactly. Yeah. But I mean, there is pluses though. Like for like an indie film, it has a really good Christmas aesthetic. Like it does decent things. One thing that really bugged me about the movie was the sound mix. So when you film indie films, like you need to do a white static noise track. So you basically what that means is like you go into a room and you record the the natural sound of a room.
Yeah,
right?
the ambient noise.
The ambient noise. So you take that track and you put that as a background on your audio track, right? So what they didn't do in this film is that they didn't record one. So like when they're talking, it cuts out, right? You can hear the cuts because they don't have that ambient sound in the background.
Yeah, and they taught me that in community college. That's like how basic that is.
Dude, I know. It's so easy to do, man. It's so fucking simple, and they didn't put it in this film, and so it sounds like it's just cutting all the time. And like, the editing wasn't like the video editing wasn't actually that bad in the film, but it was just the sound quality was really shitty in that aspect. Like, it didn't sound poor. It just you notice that they didn't have that static white noise track on there, which is very distracting. It's very, very distracting. It's very indie type thing, but like, I was just really disappointed with the kills and shit. It's a vampire film.
I think that like the most like sad thing about this movie is I think that it had potential.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I really do. Like like you said, the aesthetic's good. And the setting's cool. Like it looks like a movie. It's just that you gotta have some entertainment in there. Like if you're not gonna do like a bunch of like nudity, at least have like a bunch of kills, right? But like whenever you have what like these a bunch of hot female vampire leads that you're going with. Like I think maybe I expected a little more like sleaziness or something.
Right. Absolutely.
It's a very tame movie.
It's super tame.
Yeah. But I think it had potential. Like if you would have if this would have got like, if it would have been like, if they would have nailed the like villain angle, like whether it's vampires or anything else, serial killers, whatever your aliens, whatever your plot point is, if they would have nailed that, this could have been like a like Christmas go-to film. You know what I mean? It's just they don't.
When they showed them all with those cool entrances and like suited up with all these weapons and just like talking like hard asses, I thought we were going to get like a campy, like kind of splatter.
Like a splatter movie or something. Yeah, I agree with you. And even like the opening credits were good and stuff. Like it had Christmas vibes.
Yeah, like the opening credits reminded me of like a Christmas Vacation with the animation in the credits and stuff like that. So they kind of jacked that a little bit.
It reminded me of The Good, the Bad, the Ugly.
Yeah, I can see that.
Or one of them, whatever. I don't know if they showed. Did they do the animation titles in that one too? I know they do in the first two.
In the good, I don't think so. Not in the third one.
But like in one of those trilogies, whatever which one. Like I know both in Fistful of Dollars and for a few dollars more they do it. But yeah, it reminded me of those. I was like, this is like it's gonna be some cool type of fucking bloody morally ambiguous criminal type shit.
You know what's a funny part in the film when that one dude that's like very high strung and he's all freaking out and shit, and he's like, you know what? He's like, this is gonna sound a little bit weird, and you guys probably gonna laugh at me and shit like that, but like I've read all the Twilight books.
Oh yeah, I actually meant to read that, bring that up because
fuck, I laughed, man.
When I was watching that, my friend at work, who I've been recommending movies to. Actually, they watched Martyrs for the first time the other day on my recommendation.
Cool. and did they hate you after for putting them through that?
No. We're at a time where like that movie's like shocking to people still, but it's not as like insane as it was like 17 years ago.
It's not that it's shocking. It's just a hard watch because it's so much in your face for like an hour this goes on for. It's crazy. So
that's like one of the movies though, like that's like really stayed with me like since like my like early horror days.
Well, the thing about her, like the Martyrs thing is like, her interpretation of it was that it devolved into like torture porn was her exact words. But I explained that it's kind of not in a way.
Yeah, I wouldn't agree with that.
Like, and like the whole point, Pascal Laugier, whatever the hell his name is, he actually said before that he made that movie in a response to torture porn and made a movie about pain and not about torture, where the Hostels was about the torture, this was about the pain. And so I get where you could look at it on the surface and think that it might be like torture porny, but she kind of understood that afterwards as well, after explaining it. But yeah, I don't know how we got on that. Oh, because Twilight, yeah. So she's a big Twilight fan, and
yikes.
I said I was watching that, and I when that part came up, I rewound it and like said that to her because the guy's like, I've read all the Twilight books, and everybody's like, dude, really?
Yeah, and then he makes a joke and he's like, well, what are you surprised about that? I read all these books. And he's like, no, I'm surprised that you're actually married. Because he says his wife gave him the books and he's like, no, I'm surprised you have a wife. It's actually kind of funny. But,
yeah, that was actually a funny joke, but
yeah, I didn't really like the whole kind of like subplot thing or whatever you want to call it with like the Italian extorter. That's like, extorting money out of the fucking, not extorted, but like, I guess just taking money from the concierge dude. I'm like, what?
Yeah.
Like this whole thing was like, it was just like running up the time. Like this movie could have been shorter without all that shit, right? It was just like, it felt so, it just felt like it didn't need to be there. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Like it didn't add anything to anything, but yeah, no, this movie, like you said, like, I mean, I right away I was like, oh, this is kind of cool. It's like Christmas Vacation. It's like fucking, You know, it's like Reservoir Dogs with the names. Like I like the Scrooge character was very fitting because he was grumpy as shit and he was mean. You know, and then you're getting this From Dusk Till Dawn vibes, and like you're getting all this type of shit, really good aesthetic, and then you know the audio issues which bugged me for the whole 90 minutes. Fucking drove me fucking nuts. But I was so disappointed with like how this one played out. No, the kills sucked. Dialogue sucked. I'm just like, fuck, man. These are the type of shits that make me so pissy because like we all saw the potential in this, right? All three of us saw the potential in the beginning, and it just does not deliver at all. And it's not even like it's an incompetent film. It does some good things, but my God, dude, like you got to have a little bit more on, you know, the kill tip and, you know, maybe just write a better script. Fuck, man. Just really, it showed its indiness. You know what I mean? In like in those aspects, and it just, yeah. You know,
I think at the end of the day, like what it felt like was somebody was thinking of like, what kind of Christmas movie could I make? Like, what can I title it? And it's like, we've seen every type of pun on title that is imaginable. Yeah. It's like, what about Silent Bite? And we make it about vampires.
Oh, maybe.
You know what I mean? It just feels like they didn't have an idea of making a vampire movie set on Christmas. It felt like they thought of a cool title and decided to make a movie about vampires. That is how it feels anyway. Like, I'm not saying that's what happened. I'm just saying that's how it feels.
It's like that whole was it the Charles Band thing? They would come up with the posters before making the movies. Oh, yeah. Like that. You come up with this idea like, oh, what's a Christmas movie title pun that hasn't been done? Silent Bite. Let's do that one right now.
But at least the thing about Charles Band and his movies is he's like, well, I know that I got crap here, so I'm only going to make it 69 minutes. You know what I mean? Like if this movie was 60, 70 minutes, I think that I wouldn't be as hard on it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but there definitely is a bunch of downtime and stuff. Like, you know, they're trying to figure out why these girls are. Oh my God, dude!
It felt like the plot was stretched very thin.
Yeah, well, and they really made it corny. Like super cornball with, you know, the dorky MIT dude that like, you know, wants to save the girl that's been bit and she's
the whole
it turns super corny. Like it just felt so out of place and like bad.
So why are filmmakers so hell bent on shoving in like a romantic thing with like the unassuming like guy that shouldn't be in this situation in the first place? Like, I'm like just so tired of that.
The sympathetic, the unlikely sympathetic, like so cliche. It's so annoying.
Yeah, it's like, oh, he's doing this for his family, blah blah blah. It's just I've been there, done that so many times.
Yeah, that's
and it can work still. It's just like,
and like I've seen it done.
Just gets in the way.
I've seen it done like well, and it's like this is how you do it well.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like the fact that they actually had UV grenades with them is, you know, it's a very convenient thing in the film too, because like generally when you go to
fucking watch Blade 2.
Yeah, like I mean, when you go to rob a place, I think honestly, like you do think of a lot of different things, right? You don't necessarily want to hurt anybody, so having UV grenades actually kind of makes sense because it blinds you, blah blah blah. You get your shit done.
I don't even know if that's a real thing.
I think it is. I think it is actually.
I know like flashbangs and stuff, but that's like a different thing, right?
Yeah, that's different. But like, I think UV grenade, I think that actually exists. Like, it's blinding, right, to the, you know, the eye, obviously. But like, you know, it's very convenient in this narrative where you got UV, but it's acting as the sun. You know, it's like, fuck, come on, man. But I mean, obviously, when they kill the vampires, you get a little bit of CG. Those effects aren't like the worst things I've ever seen. They kind of reminded me of Blade, actually, like 2000 fucking Blade effects and stuff. But I did like the transitions though, like going back to like the opening credits. I thought the animation on those were really good. But like the transitions throughout the film where they're counting down, you know, the hours to sunrise.
Yeah,
I thought that was kind of cool with the, you know, with the advent calendar type thing and stuff. And yeah, you know, there's definitely a bunch of pros to this film, but there's like a little bit more cons. I don't think it's a horrible movie by any means. I just don't think it's good. It's super unfortunate, man, because you don't see a lot of like vampire Christmas horror films.
Yeah, Silent Bite. I mean,
right?
That's a title that could be thing like that.
It could be a banger.
Work, yeah.
But in this instant, Silent Bite, they fucking choked.
Yeah, I actually have been talked down a little bit from my rating.
Shit, dude, what were you at before?
Well, do you want to get into it?
I mean, we might as well get into there's not really a whole lot more to say. I mean, there's not really much else at all. I mean, that's the movie, so yeah, well, JP, what do you got?
So originally I gave it a 6, but I'm going to give it a 5 now.
Tyler, what do you got?
I got 4 out of 10 on this one.
I'm actually at a 4 also.
Okay.
Yeah. I just was really, by the end of it, I was just kind of annoyed that they went super corny with the MIT and all that type of shit. But I was thinking about it after I watched it. I'm like, man, dude, the potential on this was just so missed. It's so disappointing, and that's why it gets the 4. So, but yeah, well, that's Silent Bite from 2024.
Yeah, not a great start for Christmas horror of 2024. The other one that came out this week is Santa Stein. Did you guys watch that?
No, I saw that.
What the fuck?
I actually started laughing at that. I was like, what the fuck?
Christ.
Yeah.
Oh,
Santa
man.
Stein.
We're not
that's a Screambox one. It might have been better. Who knows, dude?
Yeah, I mean, the bar's not too high.
Right.
22 shots.
All right, so getting into the second feature film here, also, of course, from 2024, we have a film called He Sees You When You're Sleeping. I mean, I'm surprised that this title has never been used before.
What a waste.
I feel like they're
I can't believe this title's never been used.
While You're Sleeping or something. I think there might be another variation of this.
There might be actually. Yeah, there might be. All right.
But there are so many Christmas titles that have been used. I mean, it's insane, dude.
Mm-hmm. All right.
That's the thing about Christmas movies too, is people like this cheesy shit that you even you can get away with it.
Right. Synopsis. Chester returns to his home after witnessing his parents' murders 17 years ago by a killer dressed as Santa. A new Santa killer begins killing his relatives. Chester questions if the killer returned or if a more terrifying truth exists.
So hold on. I didn't look this up, but this movie reminded me of that movie. What was it? What was that Halloween movie we watched earlier this year? The indie one.
Which one did we watch? It wasn't Carved, was it?
It might have been. It was the one with the kid, who fucking was the director. He was the actor, the lead in the movie.
Oh, yeah. No,
I forget the title, but this movie also felt like either they miscast this dude incredibly, or he was the director.
No, I think they just cast him because he's actually. It looks like he's been in a little handful of indie movies like this, so maybe he's
Creeping Death was the one you're talking about.
Oh yeah, this kid sucks.
So this kid was not the director. I was about to say if someone else did this again.
No, this one is called Charlie Steed. Yeah. Okay. So this one actually has Caroline Williams in it, who plays the aunt in this film. Obviously
apparently you say that wrong.
What, aunt?
No, Carolyn.
Oh, it's Carolyn?
I don't know.
Is it not Caroline?
Carly always corrects me on it, and I don't.
Is it not Caroline? It's not Caroline Williams?
I think
it probably is Carolyn. Honestly, that's probably just how it's pronounced. I always say Caroline too.
Caroline Williams. Okay.
Yeah, I don't know. It might be Lynn. Carolyn. I don't fucking
know. Caroline. Fucking potato. What the fuck?
It's like that.
Pecan. Fuck, man. You know me with pronunciations. I fucking hate when people have to go out of their way to be like, you're saying it wrong. Drives me fucking nuts. Who cares, man? Who cares?
I tell you all the time. Yeah, who cares if I spell Stephen King's name wrong?
You just spelled it with Mike Tyson in mind. It's not a big deal, dude. Yeah, so He Sees You When You're Sleeping. Tyler, you watched this one first, didn't you?
Yeah.
All right.
It's
so,
it was like I watched it first because like it was short and it was like a late night thing. I was like, yeah, I'm gonna sink down to this and watch like this goofy Christmas movie late at night. It was just like the right vibe for it. And
so the thing that I thought was interesting, so like there's a prologue in this film, obviously, because we just said the synopsis, but like it takes place in 1963.
Dude.
Yeah, I must have not been paying attention to that or something, or skipped over it or something. Something I just skipped the credits and like, all right, let's just get to this.
I saw that you didn't realize that it jumped 17 years and it takes place in 1980.
I didn't realize. That's what I mean. I didn't even know it was a retro movie, and like that's how
dude,
bad
it looks
of a job
like
does.
the opening had like they drive two cars that are like old school. That's like the extent of the
that pink Ford or that pink Chevy or whatever it is.
They're fucking rich, so rich people could just have nice classic cars.
Yeah, but it's like that's the extent of the effort they put into making it look times period sensitive.
Yeah, so I just didn't notice.
So I wanted
because I'm watching it and I'm like, the newspaper says like 1960 something. I'm like,
63.
Is this movie's fucking supposed to be set in the past?
No. So the prologue is set in 1963, and then of course it jumps into 1980, which is 17 years later. And then
it's still the past.
Yeah, so it's still the past, but like 1980 is like one of the. We've talked about this lots of times in the podcast. So we're like, it's weird because 1980 still, when you watch films from 1980, it still reflects the 70s. It hasn't turned into the 80s. Like where 80, 81, 80, I think 83 is about the time where you really started noticing like the 80s evolve. Where like 80, 81, like it still feels like the 70s. Like it's kind of this weird transitional period. Like even from like 89 to 90, you can tell like it's transitioned into the 90s. You know what I mean? But like for some odd reason, like 80 still feels like the 70s. So like when I see the the wardrobes in this film and stuff, like it's not full blown 80s to me at all. It still reflects the 70s.
It doesn't even feel like fucking 90s or early 2000s. It feels like 2020. Like it's not even close.
It's because you have to look at it like this though, because a lot of people that around Christmas time and stuff wear these ugly sweaters, and they're always like these retro type clothings and shit like that. Like everyone looks like this today for sure.
I thought they were just dressed up for the holidays,
but
nothing about the movie, like none of the characters feel like they're from the set. Like it is literally one of the worst attempts I've ever seen it.
No. I'm not trying to like fully defend this. I'm just saying it's not, if you're trying to get in your mind like, oh, this is set in 1980, it should feel like the 80s. I'm just saying that I get the fact that it doesn't look full blown 80s because it is 1980. And in fact, actually a couple of the songs that play in the film were like very synthy 80 music. That didn't fit at all either, because in 1980 you didn't have that music yet. It was still like the new wave shit, and it didn't have that type of synth. Like that shit didn't come until like 83, 84, 85. Like that was the poor choices for music in the film, which I of course would notice. That was very, very off. But yeah, you guys are right though. Like the actual aesthetic of the clothing and stuff from 1980 isn't perfect here at all. It's actually pretty piss poor, to be honest.
It's not even just that. Like everything about the movie feels modern.
Yeah,
like,
they don't sound. They don't.
The dialogue, like everybody, just the way people are talking, like I don't know, like nothing to me felt. I didn't even realize it was a period piece until later.
I mean, I just paid attention to the open because it literally tells you with a header. It says 1963 and then jumps 17 years into 1980. Like it tells you right on screen. Like,
does it tell you 17 years later?
Yeah.
I thought it just said like December 29th or December 20.
I think I think it shows you the year 1980. So it's like, just do the math, 17 years, right? Plus it actually tells you in the synopsis too, which I didn't read.
And the movie didn't do anything to sell me that it was 1980. So.
Yeah, well, at the end of the day, like my thing is, I guess, if you're going, like, I get why you would want to do your horror movie in a different time period because it works better. It always will.
Yeah.
Because you have no cell phones, you have no technology to worry about.
Yeah, right.
But I would prefer, if you don't have the means to at least even half-ass to make it look like it's a different time period, I would rather you just set it in modern time, or just not acknowledge the time period at all, and just don't say anything.
That's a fair point. That's a fair point. I mean, these are like the minor gripes for myself. Like really, like the time period and obviously the clothing aesthetic. Like the Christmas aesthetic here is fine.
Yeah, Christmas aesthetic's good.
Yeah.
I like the location of the movie. I thought that the story was okay.
It feels like it's an Agatha Christie film, like a 10 Little Indians film. Where you got a bunch of people housed up, and then you have this like mystery of like, why are these people disappearing, and like what's going on? And it feels like
super Psycho 2.
It's super Psycho. You're right. It's Psycho 2. It's fucking Agatha Christie. Like the last movie was what we said it was. It's just kind of funny. Like these indie filmmakers are just taking these ideas and just thinking that they're doing a good job with it. It really isn't. Honestly, the reveal in this movie is super obvious and it's fucking stupid.
Yeah,
like it's really fucking like honestly the writing.
I just like could not get over this lead kid. This kid, oh my god.
Yeah, I feel bad, dude. Like I hate shitting on like indie actors and stuff.
Me too, man. Me too.
But he had no passion in his eyes. You know,
he was bad in the sympathetic scenes. His delivery was bad, and you just could not buy him as a tough guy. Like in the
you couldn't buy him as like a Norman Batesy character either.
Yeah,
I think that's what he's supposed to be.
He was like a wuss, and I guess like they were trying to like make him out to be like like you could say like, oh well, he's kind of like this because he's traumatized and he's sheltered, but he doesn't act like he's like messed up. He doesn't act like kind of like socially awkward. He just acts like a little bitch.
Yeah, he is a bitch. And it's funny you bring up the Bates thing. Did you do that on purpose? Because the killer in the film, quote unquote, was named Henry Bates.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, and Carly told me that movie has a lot of Psycho. She's a big Psycho
my
2
god!
fan.
It's just like the stuff with
it's Psycho 2 all over the place. Yeah,
the stuff with the notes. Oh my god!
Yeah, that's very Psycho 2.
Yeah, yeah. But I found the note. So that character, is she supposed to be Chester's girlfriend?
Yeah.
She's she's the love interest at least. Like
because
this is the most locked up for a while.
Yeah,
that's the weird part about it. She's like.
That's what I'm saying.
This like girl walks up and she's like, Chester. He's like, how long's it been? He's like 17 years.
Oh, his old kid friend or whatever. But like when she picks him up like from the sanitarium or the nut house or whatever the fuck you want to call it, whatever I don't care what politically correct name is. It's 22 shots. We don't do that shit. But it's just so unclear because their relationship is not a relationship.
Oh, the woman that's with him, that's his doctor.
Like he clearly has no interest in the girl that picked him up in the pink fucking Chevy at all. There's never a moment in this film where he's ever like in a relationship with his girlfriend. You know what I mean?
I thought that maybe it's not clear because I thought that girl was like a doctor or like a caretaker or something.
There's something else. Like it's weird. It's like she's supposed to be his, but
and then when she was like, "Oh, I spent the last however many months or years with them doing this. I deserve a better cut."
But why would Caroline Williams call him his girlfriend?
She might, but like it makes so why would they have her like what would be her motivation to like fuck with Chester in on this big ass fucking master plan?
They needed her to get her to that house so they could do their scam.
Of course, yeah. But like why would she commit to doing this though? Just
to get to get the money because they needed Chester. They're gonna get Chester to sign over like his fortune to her and she was gonna get her cut.
Of course, I know what the narrative, but like it just seems fucking weird though. Like she's the girlfriend.
She just wanted money. She was never the girlfriend. She just wanted money.
Yeah, I mean, if you talk it away like
but here's
she was always in it for the money.
Here's the thing about that. I feel like if you're going to be the girlfriend of somebody who's like mentally damaged, you usually actually care.
Right.
Because she wouldn't have known this situation before. Like they would have had to already be dating, and the aunt brought this information to the girl.
That's what I'm saying.
No. I thought the aunt bound her, and the aunt when she brought her in on the scam, like the whole thing with her being around him, she was already in on the scam, and she was like the whole point of that was like to get her to get him to like rely on her and bring her back to the house. That's what it was for. Like
so the aunt met the girlfriend before.
Yeah, she was a plant. Yeah, she was a plant. She was like an inside man, part of the scam.
Right. I'm just saying, what's like the original like motivations for it? Like, she still has to commit to doing this shit. Like, if she's in a relationship with this Chester.
Well, Tyler's saying that it was before they were in a relationship that
she was a plant.
See, I must have missed that because, like, I was wondering that too.
That's why they have that.
Because that would make more sense that she would find this person. Okay, you need to befriend this, my nephew, and act as his girlfriend so we can fucking do. Yeah, he was the mark, exactly. But like, okay, well, whatever. It doesn't really fucking matter. Who cares? Who fucking cares?
Because they have that scene where she's like, "I want a higher cut because I spend this much time with."
Yeah, well, I think the girlfriend's plan was to elevate it to her kind of status and like blackmail and end up taking everything, and like I think that's kind of like where I took it, like,
or maybe she wasn't a girlfriend. Did we figure that out?
I thought she was like a doctor, so I was like I thought the love interest was
but why would she be picking him up from the sanitarium if she was a doctor?
Like his caseworker,
like his caseworker, like caretaker. Thing. I don't know what you call
the Dr. Loomis of
it. It could be because like there's a moment in the film when like he looks at her with like these evil eyes, and I'm like, okay, well that's weird if she's supposed to be the girlfriend.
Yeah, I thought like the love interest was like that girl that he was like, haven't seen you in 17 years.
Yeah, well that is the love interest.
Yeah,
well she becomes the love interest because he sees that she's still there. Like he doesn't know that she's actually going to be there. So, but anyway,
I thought she fucking died. I thought she got shot in the head. I had to go back. I went back and rewatched it. I could have sworn she got shot in the head.
Yeah,
but I went back and I was like, oh, okay, I guess not.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but everybody acting in this movie sucks except Carolyn Williams and her son.
Yeah, I like Carolyn Williams. She plays I think she did her best for what she was given.
She was self-aware. She's like, I'm in this stupid horror movie. I'm going to ham it up and be like the eccentric, like evil aunt. And it's like what they asked her to do.
There's some fucking. She got some filthy ass lines too. Like
the son is actually funny too. Like the son that's just like a dickhead the entire time. He just like rips on people to their face. I loved him. He was fucking hilarious.
She calls her a trailer trash twat.
Yeah,
that's just fucking funny as hell. Ah, dude. But yeah, essentially you got a bunch of people in this house. We got this Chester character. He's getting basically they're trying to fuck with him, right? Because he's not stable. He's been in and out of mental institutions, so they start fucking with him with like notes.
If you've seen Psycho 2, that's what they're trying to do.
They're absolutely fucking with him. It's Psycho 2 100%. And yeah, I mean it just plays out like Agatha Christie. It's like this kind of whodunit, like who's doing it really type thing. And then when we get the reveal in the film, it's uber fucking stupid. And it's actually even more stupid that like the dude kills the son. Fuck off. Like what? Like what the fuck is that, man? Like what the fuck? It's so dumb. It's so stupid, man. I had to say that, but like, man. I mean, I thought some of the kills were okay. I mean, there's some decent practical effects in it and stuff. Like, there's a dude that gets his fucking, was it foot or no, his hand chopped off, and then I mean, the kills weren't bad. I mean, it's not like it was CG effects and stuff. Like, I'll give him that credit. Like, it's all practical.
They weren't great, but they weren't like awful or anything.
At least they were on screen. Like most of them were on screen and stuff like that. Like when the fucking.
I also like. I don't think this movie was boring. Like, even though it was like bad and like it was obvious.
It wasn't boring at all.
That stuff. Like, at least like I sat here and by the end of it, I was like, all right, that was a movie.
No, it's definitely not boring because, you got the exchanges with Carolyn, whatever, Williams. And, like some of those moments are pretty good and stuff. But yeah, you're right, though. The lead in this film, the guy that plays Chester it's so bad. Right? Like, I couldn't even believe that this was the lead in the film. I was 5 minutes into this going, this is our fucking lead.
He doesn't look like an actor either. Like, he looks like some kid in your theater class.
He's very awkward. And like, you're right. Like, he delivers every one of his lines with no commitment, no conviction, absolutely no desire.
He's got like no like strong features to him either, where you're like, yeah, this kid like looks like an actor. He's kind of just like this average looking like schlubby kind of guy.
Yeah, that was the other thing that was driving me nuts too, was the hairstyles, man. I'm like, this is not 1980. It didn't look 70s, it didn't look 80s, it looked fucking more modern.
It looked like that's the.
He reminded me of like
walked on the set with.
Yeah,
he reminded me of like that dude who ripped you off. Absolute Sublime.
Oh yeah, that fucking. Oh my god, I forgot about that.
He just kind of looked like that type of guy.
Right. Fucking shady ass character. Yeah. Yeah, man. Oh, dude. But I will say though, man, the body count in this movie is pretty high. like it seems like almost every character in this film pretty much has a demise. It's kind of crazy. So I'll give him that. I mean, for a film that runs 80 minutes, 83 minutes,
like 80 minutes.
I mean, if you do the math with the kills, I mean, there's a kill probably every couple minutes in this movie. Right? There's a lot of deaths. Kind of crazy, but yeah, I mean, decent body count, practical effects, good aesthetic. Carolyn Williams is really good in it. But otherwise, like, I fucking couldn't stand the reveal in this. Was so dumb. Like,
it really was.
And it's predictable too. I was like, man, it's gotta be this way. It's so stupid because it's not gonna be the Bates character, right? It's so stupid. Mm-hmm. But anyways, yeah. So he sees you when you're sleeping, man. I don't even know where to put this one. Tyler, what do you give this one?
I was actually going to come in a little lower, but in hindsight, like if I had to watch this or Silent Bite again, I would rather watch this. So I'm going to at least match that rating with a 4.
I'm going to give this one 4.5, and just because, you know, like I said, I said the pros, the things I liked about it, but I was actually a little bit taken back by like how big the body count really was. Mm-hmm. And when I'm watching these type of movies, that's kind of what it is for me. I generally wouldn't try to critique like, you know, certain acting and like, you know, narrative plot points and stuff like that. But this one was just stupid. I had to mention it was dumb.
It's like, it's so bad that it like gets in the way of the movie. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Like, I mean, honestly, this is one of the worst leads I've seen in a long time in a film. I'm sorry. It was awful. It was distracting. It was just fucking, ugh.
It's like a perfect example in Vinegar Syndrome, like random movies you get where like, yeah, the acting might not be good, but you have people that are like just trying to put on a performance and like it might be bad, but they have like the heart and it's fun to watch.
Right. Right. And, you know, it's again, it's a competent film. It really is. Like for an indie film, I thought it.
Yeah, it's not like poorly made or anything. Other
I thought
than
the audio
looking like the 80s or 1980.
Like the audio was fine. The audio was way better than Silent Bite. The soundtrack didn't fit because that music wasn't being made in 1980. So that was kind of that was a weird miss for myself. I'm like, right away, like the first song I played, I was like, that's not 1980. That didn't come out in 1980. It fucking didn't. So you're losing points on that one right away. I even wrote that in my notes. I'm like, point loss for song that's not 1980. So anyways, yeah, 4.5 for myself. It's not atrocious. It's, you know, I mean, if you're into these type of movies, you might actually really like it. So yeah.
Yeah. Is it my turn or?
Yeah, it's yours.
Yeah.
Yeah, I came up a little bit on it. I was at a 3.5, but I do think I liked it more than Silent Bite in hindsight. So I gave it a 4.
4. Okay. Yeah. Well, all right. So that's He Sees You When You're Sleeping, 2024. All right. So getting into the third and final film here on episode 277. Called Dear Santa. Yeah.
Should have been called Dear Satan.
No, Dear Santa is actually funny because given what the narrative is. But of course, this one's directed by Bobby Farley from the Farley brothers. And of course, starring Jack Black.
Yeah, Jack Black is very hit and miss with me. Like sometimes I think he's great and other times I think he's annoying.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I would agree with that. They're hitting this.
Right. All right. Synopsis here. Okay. When a young boy mails his Christmas wish list to Santa with one crucial spelling error, a devilish Jack Black arrives to wreak havoc on the holidays. Oh, that doesn't read as funny as it did when I first read it.
I still think it's pretty funny.
So essentially this kid is dyslexic and he wrote Dear Satan, and Satan gets the fucking letter, and that's who shows up. I like that whole premise. It's kind of funny. So I'm looking at this on IMDb now, and it's not listed as horror anymore. No,
this is isn't a horror movie.
It's not. This is a kid's film.
They tricked us on that one.
Yeah. So like when I originally
I'm counting it as a watch though.
It said dark comedy, dark fantasy, high concept, like holiday comedy.
It definitely. I'm 100% sure it said horror.
It did say horror. I know. That's the reason why
it still did have the devil in it. Like, I mean, like it's like not like there. It's not like it's new that like people are calling movies horror movies that use a horror element that isn't anything horror still.
Yeah, I'm just saying that on IMDb now they took the horror tag off here, which is interesting. But yeah, this movie's actually rated PG-13. I mean, just obviously due to some language and stuff like that.
Yeah, that makes sense.
There's not any kills. There's not any blood, or like it's not that type of film. This is,
there's some crude humor.
There's crude. Well, that's what it is. It's a dark comedy, essentially, right? So, but yeah, dear Santa. Right away, man, I was like, "What in the fuck is with this kid's teeth?" I couldn't stop. I was like,
I know. I legitimately felt bad. I was like, those can't be real.
I kept saying to myself,
I was like, dude, I hope those aren't real. I feel bad for
dude. I thought it was so funny. They made him look like that. Like, I don't know his name, but one of the like Fat Over and the Cosby Kids. Like, they made him look like.
I know what one you're talking about.
Yeah, I even said to my girlfriend, like, man, this. Dude, I think this movie's kind of racist.
Dude, I started laughing. So I'm like, "There's no fucking way those teeth are real." I'm like, "What?" And it's like kept going on and on.
I'm glad there was like a point to it. But
yeah,
like the fact they just like did that, like maybe like it like you don't know there's a point to it until way later.
Right. Because it's just like it's like one of those blind jokes, right? It's like it's there, but you're like, what the fuck is going on?
I thought they were just trying to make them be like, oh, they're losers that hang out together. So let's give them huge teeth so nobody likes them because it's like because it's school and kids are bullies.
Right.
And I thought that's what they were going. I was like, man, you could have done this a million other ways.
But I really like the lead character in this film, man, Liam. Like he's
good.
He's a fun little kid, man. And like so Liam is like we said, he's a dyslexic and he actually fucked up and he sends his letter to.
This kid's a good little actor. He's the little Nazi from Jojo Rabbit.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's cool. But like he plays it off really good. Like it's casted perfectly because he kind of looks like he's a little dorky, he's a little overweight and stuff. He's like perfectly casted in this film.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I think Jack Black is actually, I'm with JP too. Like he's hit and miss for me. And sometimes he's really good. Sometimes I find I could do without him.
I think he was really good in this one.
I think they gave him good dialogue. They gave him good dialogue. Like some of the one-liners that he has, like he's always calling, like just a lot of the one-liners that he says about the kids and stuff is really funny. Yeah. And it's so PG-13 and it's very likable. Like he's like this likable, unlikable person. Like he's Satan. Kind of. But he's still likable. But, this is one of those movies that I'm just like, I could see kids loving. This would be a really fun film for like a 13-year-old kid. I had fun with it though. I really did.
I did too. I thought I saw everybody shitting on it and I was like, dude, this was actually kind of fun.
It's just
especially after watching the other two, I was like, this is like way more entertaining.
It was.
This is definitely getting unfairly shit. I'm like, yeah, maybe this isn't the greatest thing, but this is nowhere near as bad as like people are shitting on. This movie was fun. I liked this movie.
I will say though, I probably could have done without the whole brother angle. I thought that it kind of tore it down for me a little bit, and like the way it ends is kind of funny, but at the same time, it's kind of like morbid, right? Like this movie has a lot of dark comedy. Like the little kid, like Lehman's best friend. He's a black kid, and he's got the fucked up teeth and shit, and I can see where like people be like that's racist, but like
dude, he looks like a 60s cartoon.
But it's the fact that they make him like a cancer kid. They use this as a joke through the whole film that he has cancer, and I'm just like, oh my god, this isn't.
They're like, what kind of cancer do you have? The really bad kind.
He's like the super duper bad kind.
Yeah, that kid was the best. But honestly, both of the kids were really funny.
They were.
I thought all the kids are funny.
Yeah, honestly, yeah. Like, I mean, it's
for
casted
the most
well.
Part, there's no one in this movie where I was like, man, their performance was bad. Like, I thought a lot of it was pretty funny.
One thing I really liked about this film, I thought was pretty clever, was when Jack Black would laugh, it would turn into like a goat sound. That shit made me laugh every time. I was like, that's pretty clever, actually. It was funny. Oh, man. But the teacher had me in stitches, though, man. And he's like, yeah, we're going to talk about the #1 overrated book of all time, and that's A Christmas Carol. I'm like, what the fuck? overrated book.
A Christmas Carol is genuinely amazing.
Yeah,
it's honestly amazing.
This is the first time I remember we learned it and we read it and like learned it in 7th grade. I remember being so excited to do that. I was like, I want to fucking be Marley or something, or I want to be someone to read when we read it in class. And then, like, from then on out, I'm down to watch like any Christmas Carol adaptation. That's one of my favorite stories.
I have so many. Like, I was actually I think I have like 20 different adaptations of Christmas Carol. It's crazy.
I particularly love like the animated ones, like the Flintstones and
I have that movie too. Yeah. Well, Mickey's Christmas Carol is actually one of my all-time favorite adaptations of it. Like, I actually really love Scrooged, the Bill Murray movie. I think that's a really fucking good adaptation of it too.
You ever seen A Carol Christmas? Moodz might have.
Yeah, I have.
It's a Lifetime movie. Like,
I have seen it actually.
I like that one.
Yeah. Actually, one of my favorite is Scrooged or whatever, Christmas Carol, whatever you want to call it, like the 1951 version of it. That one's fucking dark. It almost feels like
I've seen that one. I like the Patrick Stewart one.
It is so dark, dude. It feels like a horror movie, man. It's fucking
check that out.
It's awesome, dude. It's such a it's up there. It's for one of my favorite adaptations. It's crazy good, dude.
I didn't even know about it. I gotta check it out for sure.
Yeah, you'll love it. You'll love it. It's one of the darkest versions of it, man. Oh, it's awesome. Yeah, it's good stuff. Even the Muppets, good stuff.
Yeah, Muppets is a good one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I forgot the Flintstone. I actually have that DVD, man, the Flintstone one.
So do I.
Yeah. But yeah, no, it's one random. Okay, so today was the very first time I ever heard what's the dude's name that's in the film here? The artist?
Jack Black.
No, not Jack Black, the other R&B rapper.
Gas. Oh, Post Malone.
Post Malone.
Oh, yeah. Post Malone's in here.
That's the first time I've ever heard a Post Malone song was today. And I was like, oh my God, that's really bad.
No, I actually fuck with Post Malone.
Oh, dude.
I used to hate the dude. That is
so not my shit, dude. I was actually like...
He's actually not really the one reason why I fuck with Post Malone.
What kind of music is that?
Because I saw him get interviewed by, I want to say it was Charlemagne. And like, dude, he was getting so sweated on shit, and he handled it like a fucking awesome, cool dude.
Okay, so I mean, he's probably cooler in his music then, because like, I don't understand music. Yeah. What the hell is what's going on with this?
He's like
shit?
A big like magic card guy, and he's just. I watch him on Rogan and stuff. He's just a down to earth, like cool, like nice guy.
I can't take him serious though. Like the way he looks with his head tattoos and face. I'm like, what? I can't figure out this guy's trying to be fucking a Crip or like I don't know what the hell's going on.
That was honestly, he just like got popular in the time where that stuff was popular.
But it's like auto tune. Like he does auto tune shit and stuff. I'm like,
but he actually is a really good singer. But he does have a lot of auto tune.
Okay, so what I heard today was like, oh my God, that is some 12-year-old girl fluffery.
I don't really listen to him, so I don't really feel strongly the way. Like I've heard songs about him, and like you could do a lot worse.
So I never had an opinion on Post Malone because I'd never heard him. Like I just knew the name, right? Like even though I forgot it here, but like I recognize the name from pop culture and stuff, and I'm like just never checked it out, never heard nothing. I'm like, okay, now I know why. Because it's not for me. But anyways, I thought it was quite interesting that Post Malone was the dude that's in the film. And they go to a concert and stuff. Is
Post Malone's music is very vibey. Like that's kind of the point of it a little bit. It just has like a nice like riding late at night like vibe. Like I did not like him at first. I really didn't. And
he's kind of like the first like wave of like kind of that new like Gen Z vibe genre.
Yeah.
Like for me, it's just like when I'm vibing I'm listening to Black Moon. I'm listening to shit like that, brother. Like,
I listen to my most vibey album ever that like it's probably in my top 5 favorite albums ever is Kid Cudi's Man on the Moon album.
Yeah.
And I think that what Kid Cudi was doing way back then is what everybody in that like Post Malone, like sad boy type fucking genre of emo rap shit that's going on. That was what Kid Cudi was doing he was like
that's
a
what that is. It is emo shit, isn't it? Right?
Yeah, it's kind of like a emo like type of like rappy type shit. Like Juice WRLD was another guy who was, but Juice WRLD was actually a great rapper outside of that. Like
rap is like really not my thing, but I thought Juice WRLD was good.
Dude, there's a video of him doing like a 25-minute freestyle over Eminem beats with all unwrittens, dude, and he's literally making songs like. It's insane. Like he was actually a genuinely good rapper, but he just gravitated towards that sound,
which is like you can be super ill, but if I'm not fucking with your beats, man, I'm not fucking with you, man. So.
I'm actually a big fan of Juice WRLD. He's like out of all those guys that came out around that time, he's the only one that I actually like genuinely liked.
I like that song "Robbery" a lot. Like that's a song I would bop.
I'm a big Juice WRLD guy, and he did a couple of songs with Eminem too. Right before he died, he did the Godzilla one, and then he did on his newest album that Lace It song with Eminem, which is pretty good. Eminem was very impressed by his rapping ability, and that says something, you know. If Eminem's impressed by you,
that's such a shame he like died as young as he did. Like
it's horrible. Got a chance to develop. It's horrible.
I like when fucking Jack Black calls, or when he says fucking, I think he calls one of the kids, I think is it Liam? He calls him a mouse knuckle.
Dude, it was that speaking of the Post Malone part, the little interview that they had with him where he's like, I was getting ready for my show and I just don't know anything that happened.
I was in the green room prepping for my show, and all of a sudden I woke up the next day and couldn't remember anything, and Jack Black's like, I did that.
Yeah, that was actually a little funny. I was like,
I love in the video and they're like in the back like playing beer pong.
Yeah, because that's something he does in real life too. He's a big beer pong guy.
Who?
Post Malone.
Oh, I thought you were talking about Jack Black.
Like all the time, like at his shows and stuff, like before the show in like the green room, he's playing beer pong and shit.
Wow. Yeah. Man, what the fuck kind of vehicle was Jack Black driving? It was like an SUV with like suicide doors and shit. I was like, what the fuck? It had to have been like a made up vehicle, but I'm like, I've never seen any shit like that, man. I was like, that's crazy.
Yeah.
That thing was fucking dope, though. I was like, that's awesome. But yeah, this is a really hard movie to review because it's just comedy. Like, I don't want to sit here and just
give
all the jokes away.
It's all jokes, you know.
It's all jokes, man. It's Jack Black calling everyone all these little funny one-liners and shit. It's actually quite funny throughout the whole film. I think Jack Black. This is honestly one of my favorite performances by him. I don't know what it was. It works.
I agree with
really
you.
well.
I really do. Like I'm not like a big Jack Black guy.
Yeah,
like, he's very, very hit and miss.
Yeah, he's not someone that like when I see his name on something, I'm like, ugh. But like he's not someone that I'm just like, oh, Jack Black's in this. Like,
yeah, like Jack Black, like in I Still Know What You Did Last Summer is like one of the worst characters ever.
Right.
But I love him I love the Tenacious D movie. You know what I mean? Like that's the Pick of Destiny.
Did you catch Kyle Gass in this movie? In his little cameo?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I recognized his voice and I was like, I fucking know that voice. Who the hell is that? And like I finally by the end of the scene, I was like, oh, that's who that is.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wish they hadn't put like that tearjerker shit in this though.
That was a little corny. That's like the biggest thing I'm bang on this movie about is like this is like pretty corny.
It just felt like it didn't need to be there at all. You know what I mean? Like I don't know. I think
it's because it's like Christmas and Christmas miracles.
Yeah, and like I also don't.
I get what they're doing, but like this movie has a great vibe through the whole thing, and it just like it goes like on this awesome plane, and it goes for me. I'm like, oh, dude, I want to I don't want to cry right now.
Like. I get it because, like, the thing is, it's like they want.
It was sad.
The target audience for this movie is like they want you to like they want like families to sit down and like have a good time and watch that. And like it does have some like adult humor that's probably going to go over your kid's head.
There was something that I can't remember what the joke was, but it was like. I forget what there was a very adult joke in there. So.
Yeah,
there's a few adult jokes actually. There's a few.
There's some of that humor, and at the end of it, you know, you gotta like go home with like kind of like it teaches you a lesson and like a sentimental ending, and it's just like it's a good wrap up for like that type of movie.
Moodz is just a Grinch.
I get it because like on paper,
I just don't.
Like, if you look at
I was
like,
having so much fun. I don't want to cry. I don't want to cry in a movie like this. I'm just like, bro, like, dude, I was laughing the whole thing, and I'm like, oh, what the fuck?
The movies that make me like cry every time I watch them are like my favorites.
Yeah, no, there's like two movies that do it to me every time. I always saw Boys in the Hood's one of them.
Boys in the Hood is a very tear jerky movie.
I can make like a
the Stanley Clark score in that movie is so fucking good. It just hits you like a fucking bullet, dude. Like it's crazy good, man. That's a great score.
I could have like a top 100 of like movies that make me cry.
I barely ever cry, man. I honestly barely ever cry. Like there's a couple movies, like I said, do it to me, and that's it. Like I'm not trying to act hard enough.
Does Boys in the Hood make you cry, Tyler?
Not really.
What the fuck,
dude? That's fucked up, man.
I cried in the theater once this year. And it was a kids movie.
It's pretty rare.
You don't cry in Boys in the Hood? What the fuck? You are Jeremy. You fucking are Jeremy, man. This is crazy.
But I've only seen Boys in the Hood once. I don't know.
What?
Listen, what has like got me really good this year? Malcolm X made me cry.
Oh my god, dude!
Do the Right Thing made me cry this year too. That was a new one. That one never did before, but this time, Do the Right Thing made me cry.
What, the Radio Raheem shit?
Yeah, like it just hit me like so much harder this time. I hadn't seen it in a couple of years.
What about like Fight Club or not Fight Club? Fucking American History X.
Nah, not really.
Dude, that shit's sad, man.
It's sad. I don't know if it makes me cry.
No, it doesn't make me cry, but it's fucking powerful though, man.
I can't really think of a lot of movies that make me cry. I know definitely fucking Boys in the Hood.
That's the one that always says
The Iron Giant gets me really good.
Man, we should make a list, top 10 movies that make you cry.
I could do a good one.
I might struggle with that list. I'm trying to think of movies that make me cry.
I'll do Godzilla -1 made me cry in the theater.
Dude, you are okay. Now you're just being a pussy.
Fucking pussy.
Dude. You are a straight up pussy.
Dude, I mean, I'm susceptible to crying. Like I'm not like, oh, I'm too tough to cry. It's just that like
I get into movies. I get into movies and like sometimes just like these like high emotional points like just to, like get me.
Oh, you know another one that's got me before, but it doesn't get it. It probably wouldn't get me now. Is The Outsiders.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no,
I can see why that. It also depends like when you see these movies.
Yeah. What about
that is true, because Boys in the Hood for me is like I saw it so young, right? Like I saw it around the time it came out. So
and I'm like, I could just have an experience where I watch Boys in the Hood and really get into it, and it just hits me that hard. It's different every time.
Right. Yeah. What about Green Mile?
Nah, Green Mile's really sentimental.
I think that one's got me before.
I can see why it would. It's just like it doesn't even necessarily have to be sad. Sometimes like movies just like get you to hit like such a high emotional point that it just like makes you like feel like some sort of outburst of emotion. Like you don't really even get why you're crying.
Dude, you should close your legs. I can see your vagina.
Yeah, I do.
It's not like I'm here like sobbing, like but like sometimes you're like shit.
You're such a vagina, man. Oh my god. We're like, I don't even know if I can make a top 10 list of films that made me cry. And Tyler's like, man,
TV shows have made me cry more than movies, I feel like.
Tyler's like, man, we would need 3 shows for that one.
When we talked before that, like last time, like real, like legit, like made me cry pretty good. It's The Battery.
The Battery, yeah.
The Battery, yeah.
You're ridiculous.
When I rewatched it for summer series, I was like, shit, dude. Like,
I don't know if there's any horror films that actually make me like. I'm trying to think.
Yeah, I can't think of any.
I know there's another movie. I just can't remember. I know we've talked about this before, but there's another one. I know, honestly, man, like I get pretty choked up in Menace also, man, when Kane fucking gets killed.
Yeah.
When Kane goes down, because
both of those movies
it's powerful, man, because like he made it, he's going.
Yeah, he was getting out of there, man. It's a similar thing with Ricky, right? Like you feel like he got a good shot at making it, making it out.
Yeah, like that movie is like legitimately like tragic. I'm not
actually speaking of death, man. You know in the movie, Harold, the cousin in the film that gets shot in the head in Menace to Society.
Yeah,
I've only seen it.
So that's a real life rapper named Saphir. He actually just died the other day.
Wow.
Yeah, he was like 54. I haven't heard a follow up, but it was sudden. Like he obviously maybe like heart attack. I don't know, but like yeah, like he just passed away a couple days ago. I've got a bunch of Saphir albums. But
dude,
yeah,
Boys in the Hood actually gives me like chills just thinking about it.
Yeah, score, man. That Stanley Clark. Oh my god, he fucking
I've only seen
kills it, dude.
I saw it in a movie theater.
I grew up watching Boys in the Hood. I first seen that in like the early, like when I was like, I don't know, like 7 or something.
Dude, I had Boys in the Hood.
I was like till like 2021.
Boys in the Hood, Menace, and Juice, and New Jack City. When New Jack City came out a couple years later, those movies were on rotation for like so long for me.
Yeah,
I used to watch them all the fucking time.
Friday was a big,
of course, Friday. I actually know Friday like word for word. Like when I watched the movie,
I've watched Friday like literally probably like 100 times in my life.
Me too, man. I wish I still had my tape, my VHS tape, man. You know what sucks about Friday is that the Blu-ray that they put out of it is it's like the director's cut, so it's like kind of jarring in certain parts and stuff. But they didn't have the theatrical version on the Blu-ray. So it's fucking stupid because the director's cut it's not as good. Like it extends scenes and like you're just like, fuck, it's jarring. Especially, and you would feel probably the same way because you've seen it so many damn times.
Yeah.
And you'd watch and be like, oh, what the fuck, man? There's like, it's not the same, bro. Like it's so
speaking of Friday,
and they didn't use the original artwork on the Blu-ray either. It's like the ugly ass artwork. It sucks.
Yeah. Friday After Next, Christmas movie.
Yeah, true that. For that, except for it's got annoying Mike Epps in it, so that sucks. But
Mike Epps is funny in there. He's funny.
Day-Day's fucking annoying as shit, dude.
I
think you guys got.
Oh no! I thought you were talking about Cat Williams. No, Mike Epps. Yeah, I don't like him.
Yeah.
Day-Day's the worst character in all of Friday.
Yeah, and I heard the next Friday film. It's called The Last Friday, which is in production right now. Ice Cube's actually making it. It's actually in production. And Smokey's back. They got Chris Tucker to do it again. Man, the fucking Chris Tucker's in it, man.
I can't believe that. That's gonna be that's huge.
But Mike Epps is in it too, and I'm like, they still fucking Day-Day in the fucking movie. Shut up.
You almost have to because he's such an integral part of the series at this point. Right. Even though I hate him.
Oh fuck.
Although I do like the part where he's saying he's top flight security of the world, Craig. Not just the city, but the world, Craig. I say that all the time in real life.
It's kind of funny. Anyways, Dear Santa, I feel like there's a little bit of commentary in the film here. You know, like just with like, especially when Jack Black tells Liam, you know, to basically say what's on your mind to people and shit like that. I'm like, you know, if the world was like that, that would be fucking amazing. Because
I love that scene where he just fucking rips apart his t-shirt. Like, I know people like that in real life, like about movies, and it's like sometimes people like that need to like really be put in.
Well, it's the whole you know, hiding behind your keyboard warrior shit, right? Like people say anything on the internet and shit like that, but in real life, people don't really speak their mind to, you know, face to face and shit like that. Mm-hmm. I feel like it's kind of commentary on like how it used to be. People sometimes, not everybody, but people would be like, you know, just call it how it is, call a spade, right? You know, this teacher's being a fucking douchebag. He's obviously got some, you know, some inner problems and he's stressing on the class and stuff. And the kid calls him on it. You know, I like that. I thought that was really cool. It's good.
Yeah, I like that scene a lot. That was funny. That was hilarious.
Right. Yeah, because he was talking about, the most overrated book, To Kill a Mockingbird. And he was like, To Kill a Manuscript.
Yeah.
And then he just rips into it. I'm like, oh, this is awesome, man. Because like, that's what people do on the internet and just hide behind it. You know, it's like, do it in real life. You got something to say to somebody, say it to their face.
Like, my ex-wife and in-laws my ex-wife and father would agree with your assessment.
Right. Yeah. Right. Yeah. But you know, honestly, man, for a movie that ran close to 2 hours, it was pretty entertaining through the whole thing.
I liked it. It might have been a little too long. You probably could have cut out some of the corny stuff, like even throughout the movie. But for the most part, like it was boring. It wasn't overly long. It was fun. I love the cameo at the end when he goes to hell. Mm-hmm. Like there was a lot of good stuff about this. This is like a movie I'd happily watch again. This movie
I would. I would rewatch this too. Actually, in fact, like my wife, I'm pretty sure that she would really dig this film. So.
Yeah, we had fun with it. It was like we really liked it. Like we watched like those 5 movies, and like if we caught a stinker in the middle, might have took the wind out of the sails. But this was fun. We had a good time with this one.
Yeah, I agree, man. It's kind of a shock to me a little bit, but I was expecting it to be because when we had it, listed as horror, I'm like, okay, so the horror angle here is just that Jack Black plays Satan. I'm like, okay, it's fun though. I mean, it's got that fairly humor to it, so which is very inviting because they did one of my favorite movies in comic or comedic movies, which is Dumb and Dumber, of course, but. That shit's fucking brilliant, man. So brilliant. But Dear Sant, I don't really have anything else on it. Do you guys have anything else to say?
I liked when he went and actually talked to the devil. That was pretty funny scene.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, so we get a reveal there. Yeah.
But yeah,
the cameo was cool, and it's kind of like a throwback to another Jack Black movie.
Okay, what was the cameo?
You didn't recognize who the devil was?
Yeah, I did. Who is it, though?
Ben Stiller.
Shut the fuck up.
Yeah, and he kind of played like his...
Oh, that's not who I was thinking it was. That was Ben Stiller. Shut up.
And he played his character. He kind of like played his character that he plays like in Tenacious D when he's like the guy in the store.
Is the other guy from Tenacious D in this movie? Like, does he?
Yeah, he's the science teacher. That was the guy. Okay. Was like, I recognized his voice. Well, who is it? And I was like, oh, that's Kyle Gass.
Yeah, Kyle Gass. So like, I'm watching him going, I'm pretty sure that's the dude from Tenacious D. Fuck, he's so old looking. It's crazy.
He's like 10 years older.
Actually, Jack Black's even older looking. Not in this movie. Like, they definitely made him look a little younger in this movie.
Yeah,
because Jack Black and Kyle Gass both look old as hell.
Yeah, dude, man, he looked crazy old as a teacher.
He's been like around for almost 30 years.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah. Right. Yeah, I mean, I said what I said what I had to say. So, I mean, my final thoughts, man. I think it's definitely worth your time. It's fun. Jack Black's fun. I think the writing's good. I could probably do without the tearjerker shit. I just felt like I didn't want to be in that mode after the first 2 hours or almost 2 hours running time. I was like, I was like in this comedic mode, and I was like, okay, it's a little bit much for me, but overall, really highly enjoyed this, man. I could see. I don't understand why people are shitting on this, man. I really don't get that. I think
it has a lower Letterboxd rating than the other two movies we watched.
It's just so much charm.
That's crazy.
Wild.
Really?
Yeah. People just people are auto shitting on it because of Jack Black or for whatever reason. Like,
well, it's like the Rock movie I just watched too.
It really is. It's just people auto shit on movies like this sometimes because of elements. It's like I can't understand like what's your scale of like what a bad movie is. Of like this is like one of the worst movies you've ever.
But even so, like I like a lot of bad. Like I know in theory that some of the movies I like are actually technically bad movies.
Yeah, but like there's nothing like so bad about this movie or so offensive about this movie that like it's
like Red One. It's the same thing for me. Like I feel like it's a very competent film. It does a lot of really good things, narrative wise and stuff, and joke wise and shit. And this is kind of on the same plane, right? I feel like this is very competent. It does what it needs to do. It's fun. It's funny. Acted well. I mean, obviously, it's got a great Christmas aesthetic to it. Like I said, the one falter for me is like, I don't need that emotional change. So, but that's just me. But I'm going to give this one 8 out of 10. I really enjoyed it.
Wow.
That's way higher than me, but
yeah,
I really liked it. I thought it was fucking great until like I said, the end of the film was whatever. But then again, I'm a little bit like when it comes to Christmas films, I guess not with the first two, but like I can be a little bit more forgiving. Kind of like apparently with 80s movies, but no, I really enjoyed this. I was actually laughing through this, and yeah, it's good stuff. So, JP, what do you give it?
I give it a solid 6.5 out of 10.
6.5. Holy shit.
Yeah.
I thought you guys would be higher on this, but crazy.
Yeah, I don't want to oversell it because like it is a little too corny.
Ratings are for dummies, dude. My 8 is someone else's 4.
Yeah, but I did really enjoy this though, and I would like definitely like recommend it as like as a goofy like Christmas movie to watch. That's like it's fun. At minimum, it's like a fun drinking movie. It's a movie you can watch with your kids. I would go to 6.5 as well.
Okay, weird. I I completely thought you guys would be higher on this one, but anyways, who cares? Ratings are for dummies. It is what it is. But yeah, that's going to conclude episode 277, Christmas Extravaganza 2024.
Yeah. So, hey, when you guys were talking about movies in production for next year, you jogged my memory on something I actually wanted to ask in the intro. So,
okay.
I saw this week.
Outro.
This is what the outro's for.
Yeah, I saw this week that Smile 3 is going to be in production for 2025. What would you guys think if they made the character that like the demon is going to stalk this time like an 8 to 10-year-old kid?
That's interesting.
I don't know. I didn't watch the second one.
But how do you? So. But what's the narrative after the end?
Just assume they make it work in some stupid way because it's like they're gonna either retcon it or do something dumb anyway. So just assume they make it work in some way, and they put it in this 18-year-old kid that no one believes because they're a little kid and they're just having nightmares or seeing or just acting like a dumb little kid.
18-year-old kid.
An 8-year-old kid, an 8 to 10, a little young child.
8 to 10. Okay, yeah. I like that idea. I don't mind that.
I think that would be a cool direction for it to go in.
Yeah.
Especially if you think about you could probably make it work with the way the last one ended. Not that it really I think matters actually that much, but
I think they're going to recant that ending and just it's got to be it maybe didn't happen or so. I don't know how
they can just set it and they can do whatever they want with it, and they can just set it down the line from that or whatever. They can do so much.
No, the third one's going to be a fucking prequel is what they're going to do now because they don't know what to do at the end of part 2.
How insane what they do if it was a kid the kid can barely communicate what's happening no one believes them because they're a kid and you have all these terrifying scenes with children.
So why do you ask? Is that just your thoughts on it?
That's just something that that was just something that I thought of when I read that. I was what could they do to make this better and do something different? What if they put it on a small child?
Right.
And I just I just wanted to throw that out there and see what you guys thought about that.
You know what? I fuck with kid shit though. I like that stuff.
Sounded a little weird.
That did come off sounding a little bit fucking weird, didn't it? Kid horror films, fucking killer kid films or whatever. If you put the kid in that narrative, I think that's interesting.
Yeah.
Enough. I mean, at this point, I'm so uninterested anyways. That might be a little bit.
I don't know if a studio would greenlight that. I think that's the biggest problem. I don't know if a studio would greenlight something like that.
Yeah, I doubt it.
Not in the mainstream. No.
Did any of you guys see the new movie from the guys who did Inside?
No.
No, I didn't actually.
Should I watch it? Even if it's
I don't know. I'm curious on it.
What's it called again? I can't remember.
I don't know. It has a deer head antlers or something on the cover. Let me look it up.
It's got a horror sounding name.
I know Tom. Yeah, definitely Tom.
But I guess I've been hearing it's kind of like a
the Soul Eater.
Oh, the Soul Eater. Yeah, I've been hearing it's more of a Silence of the Lambs type investigative crime movie in a way, but
so they made another Longlegs.
Yeah,
that's the first thing I was thinking of. I wonder if it's English or if it's French.
Well, all the movies are all their movies French? Actually, no, because
all
the last
movies. Leatherface.
Oh no, it's definitely gonna be French because it's got a French title.
Oh yeah, Leatherface totally is in English, right?
The Deep House, that was English, right?
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, fuck totally.
Yeah, this is French. I don't know, maybe I'll watch it.
Well, yeah, I feel like you definitely should because it's from notable filmmakers, regardless.
Right, yeah. What was the one that came out a couple years ago?
I mean, it is tagged as horror, and the thing is, for example, I'm sure no one's surprised. I'm counting Red Rooms as horror, so
still haven't seen that.
It's my art. There's no difference between that movie and Silence of the Lambs, in the horror scale, other than you might find one character more unnerving. In movies I Saw the Devil and Manhunter are horror movies. I read this is absolutely a horror movie.
Okay.
You don't think Manhunter is a horror film?
I would say if that is and then this movie definitely is. I'm like, I want to argue someone that says, nah, it's more of like a neo noir like crime movie.
Do you consider Silence of the Lambs to be a horror film?
I would definitely consider Silence of the Lambs I would still consider Manhunter a horror movie. I just like probably wouldn't like argue against someone who had like a strong point that it wasn't.
Yeah, I consider all those horror.
Yeah, but you also consider Deliverance also as a horror film, so take it with a grain of salt, I guess.
This definitely has like the tone of a horror movie, for example.
Right. Yeah. Well, I mean, out of 3 films this week, one, it's not even really a horror film, to be honest.
It was the pick of the week.
Yeah. It was the pick of the week, yeah. Again, the first 2 are, check them out on your own merit if you want. I mean, like I said, these are great examples of films where I'm like, just because I didn't like it doesn't mean you won't.
Right.
So that's why I always say check it out if you want. I'm not going to tell people you don't go watch. I hate when fucking people do that. It drives me nuts.
I'll do it right now.
I don't like that, man. Because
don't watch Imaginary. There, see. And you listen to me.
But I would even say like still watch that because
no, fuck
ridiculous
that.
It is. Like,
see, some people I've heard there's some people this year that liked Imaginary. So I've even seen videos people saying they didn't mind Imaginary.
A bunch of fucking idiots. We know there's idiots in the world.
Yeah, people are already posting their horror top 10s of the year, and it's like a bunch of like it's like 1 or 2 unique movies and a bunch of like generic theater movies, and it's like, what did you watch? Like 30 movies this year, bud?
Probably.
I mean,
that's okay though.
Yeah, I think
everybody can't be us.
A lot of the fans of these movies are people that, I just went and saw this movie at the theater, Imaginary.
It's just people that watch stuff at arm's length. They watch like, the Netflix specials, the Hulu or whatever, the ones are like, hey, watch our new movie, and they go see ones in the theaters. And
I can't talk too much shit because
there's nothing wrong.
The last couple of years, most of my movie, like a good percentage of my top 10 were theatrical movies. This year, I'm not sure. There's still a lot of stuff I need to see.
Like, honestly, man, this has been a better year. But like at this point, like, do you guys have solidified films in your top 10?
Yeah,
I'm sure about 3 that 100% will be in my top 10, and the rest is kind of open.
Yeah, I have 9 locks. Like, I'm sure no one's surprised by me saying this, but like, it really just like, I'm kind of anticipating Nosferatu has a strong chance to break my top 10, but like, I'm locked.
I'm hoping so.
Yeah, like I'm completely locked otherwise.
I think Nosferatu is going to be in a lot of lists, given the time it comes out too. It's going to be fresh in everyone's mind. It's going to be good. There's no way it's going to be bad.
Yeah, like realistically, I think all of Robert Eggers' films are great to excellent. So like, it seems very unlikely. I'm just not going to I'm not going to think like a Robert Eggers movie is like at least very good.
Yeah,
I think I have maybe 3 shoe-ins right now. Like they're not moving from my top 10.
Yeah, I have a clear, even if like this Nosferatu sucks for some reason, I have like a clear-cut lock either way.
Well, this is the first year I had a film because the last couple years I had
I got 4 actually.
Tough spot with my number 1. Like the last couple years
I don't have a number 1.
Unless Nosferatu is amazing, I have a lock on my number 1.
Really? I don't have a number 1.
Yeah, my number 1 this year is actually one that, like, watching it, I was like, this is probably gonna be my number 1.
Yeah,
man, I love those years. It
hasn't happened to me in a while.
I love those years where you have that bona fide number 1. That's the best feeling in the world.
I think right now I have a hard lock on number 1. I have a hard lock on number 2 and 3. I don't know where they're gonna be, and I know what other films are gonna be in my list, but I don't know what the order is gonna be.
Fuck,
what was my number 1 last year?
Talk to me.
I don't know. You still haven't uploaded on the website.
That was my number 11.
What was number 1 last year?
Talk to me.
Talk to me. Mine was Beau is Afraid, which I regret. If I would do it again, I would retcon that. And Godzilla.
I think mine was Kids vs. Aliens, actually.
It was.
Oh, yeah, Godzilla
minus one would be my number 1 if I could do that list again.
Godzilla -1 was my number 2.
Yeah, I would know I'm cheating and put Beau's Afraid at number 3, and I would put.
I still haven't even watched it. I actually have the 4K.
It has horror elements, but it's got like elements of 8 genres. But like last year was just so bad that like I didn't want to come in and be like my number fucking 10 is a 6.5 out of 10. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I didn't
pretty bad.
See that either. Just because it wasn't people.
Yeah, it's 3 hours long. Like I definitely recommend it. It has like horror elements and like horror scenes, but it's like I would never be like put this in the horror section. But I also don't know what section I put it in because that movie it's like literally like a ball of genres.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Man, there's some movies that came out last year that feel so far away, like Thanksgiving and Cocaine Bear.
Yeah, I think the only movies that made my top 10 last year that would legitimately have a chance of breaking my list this year are Infinity Pool and Godzilla.
Yeah, Godzilla probably would have a good chance. I liked a lot of my Evil Lurks was really good.
And Evil Lurks would make my top 25. I think most of my movies make even my top 25 is like really competitive. Like I'm gonna sound like a normal person rating movies like when we do this list.
Yeah, I think my number 1 was like an 8.5 last year.
Yeah, that's what mine was.
Yeah,
but I definitely didn't expect a horror rebound year like this, so it's all good. Like I'm really excited about that.
It's been stronger. I think we're overdoing it a little bit. I mean, this has been a good year. But like this year, even compared to like, that run from like 17 to like 20, whatever it was.
It was like 15 to 21, maybe.
Fuck, those years were so hard to even make 25 lists, man. It was crazy how many good films were in those years.
I'm going to leave off a lot of movies on my 25 that I think are good, like really good movies I'd watch again.
Like, I think this year's solid, but like I said, in comparison to those other years, I don't know where it would line up. I think it's down at the bottom for me personally, but it doesn't mean it's a bad year.
It might just
those years are just really strong, like really fucking heavy strong. Like, man, dude,
this year just might hit my taste, like specifically, like in a good way, like in just the most perfect way, where it's just uniquely like a year that I feel like is so strong. But I'm like very enthusiastic about like all 10 movies this year that are going to be on my list.
I think next year, I think that next year I think we might see like another uptick for the next couple years because there's some interesting stuff being produced right now as well.
Mm-hmm.
I think like independent horror has been really good this year, which is like very assuring to me.
Yeah, that's always good. If you have good indie horror stuff, then it's a good stuff.
Yeah, I mean, there's been, obviously Frankie Freak I thought was pretty fun.
Frankie was awesome. Like this is definitely a good movie. Like I would recommend Frankie Freako to someone.
Yeah, it was fun. I mean, it's Astron 6 doing Astron 6 shit. Like I like the remake of Street Trash. I know some people really don't, but I thought it was fun. I thought Carved, like when we did Carved for we didn't do Carved for Halloween. I actually like that movie too. It was pretty fun. There's been some really good indie films this year, man. What's funny? I actually picked up, I don't know if this is a pricing error, but I found Strange Darling on Blu-ray at Walmart the other day for $10.
It's pretty good.
Is it just like a catalog blue?
It's one of those like fresh blue, whoever puts those out.
Catalog blue. Yeah, I'll pick it up. Like,
but the DVD was $14.
Well, that's dumb.
Yeah.
I'm actually getting so fucking sick of DVD, dude. Like when I go to Walmart and like movies that are like new are on fucking DVD and there's no Blu-rays, I get pissed.
It kind of annoys you. That's like, who is buying these at this point?
I wasn't even gonna buy Strange Darling until I saw it for $10 on Blu-ray. I'm like, if they just put out movies for $10 on Blu-ray, I'd fucking buy them all, man. Like, Jesus, dude, it's so cheap, man.
There is a movie this year I kind of wanted to buy to rewatch it, even though it was like close to that price. I was like, man, I don't want to buy this catalog Blu-ray.
I still buy some here and there.
I buy catalog. I mean, I have no problem with it. Whatever. Obviously, the majority of my shit I buy is boutique label stuff. But I also
don't like love buying stuff like this new. But I already have bought.
But these fucking theatrical films, man, like those are mostly catalog shit, though, right?
Yeah.
So if you want to buy Terrifier 3, It's going to be.
I did shell out for the I Saw the TV Glow A24 release.
Yeah, this is another one of those fresh.
I was in Walmart the other day and I saw that they had like crazy A24 releases of like
really.
Midsommar.
Yeah, I saw like that TV Glow.
Those like
how much was the TV Glow one,
dude? They didn't have that at my store.
But it's too expensive, man.
Dude, they're like $40 fucking, dude.
I was
there's
like
so
these
crazy editions.
Yeah, I paid 30 plus shipping for the TV Glow one, and like I would like it comes with a commentary track that I am kind of interested in because I think that and it's from the director, so like I kind of really am interested to hear what like the director like thinks about like has to say about her own movie. And there was like some other special feature, but it's like the packaging was cool and all, but it's nothing like incredible. And just like, but like for the price, it kind of does like you kind of do feel like you're getting shafted a little.
Did that woman make any other movies? The one that made
She made we're all going to the World's Fair, which I thought was dog shit.
Okay, because we've had this discussion like literally like 7-8 years ago about who's the best female horror director. And it's tough. It was tough. But now I think it's the chick who did Revenge. So,
Coralie Forja.
Yeah. But like we're starting to see a lot more female directors, which is cool.
I think I think The Substance is the strongest of all of these 4 movies made. Both these directors have made 2
Not
movies.
If it's the Black Christmas remake.
I think Julia Ducournau
fuck that movie,
is also someone I would probably contend with. She made Titan and Raw.
That's the other person who that's the person who I thought was the best when she put out Titan or whatever. Yeah. But now I think it's the
so like I wasn't a fan. Funny.
I didn't like it.
It's kind of funny the way it goes because I think if you put out like the 4 movies those 2 women have made, I think The Substance is the best movie, but I think Revenge is the worst movie of the 4.
No.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh man, I love Revenge.
Not
Revenge,
true.
Revenge is fucking awesome. But you're talking in terms of best or favorites.
I mean, like favorites is just like if I'm trying to be like my like subjective like version of objective, I would put those 1 and 4. If I'm going favorites, I mean,
which 4 movies?
It would be Raw and Titan for Ducournau, and for Forgeois, it would be Substance and Revenge.
I rank them like this: Substance, Revenge, Titan, and then Raw. Or
I
no,
didn't
Raw then Titan.
I haven't seen Substance yet, and I didn't like Titan, but I liked the other ones, like Raw.
I didn't like
and
Titan
Revenge.
at
I loved.
First. Yeah, I didn't like Titan at first, but it really like kind of like grew on me. But
that's kind of how it was with me. Like the more I thought about it, the more I was like, actually, I kind of like that movie.
Yeah, but I would put Raw on top of that.
Yeah, I didn't.
Raw didn't do as much for me on the rewatch for the summer series 2 years ago or whatever.
I rewatched it. I think I rewatched it
on rewatch. I was like, this wasn't as good as I remembered.
I've only seen Revenge once. I've seen The Substance twice. I've seen Raw twice, and I've only seen Titan once. So
Revenge was a movie that got better for me on rewatch.
I loved it the first time. It was better the second time too. Like that was one movie I was like, oh damn, dude, that was awesome on rewatch.
Like because I will say the first time I saw that movie, like my like cinematic like kind of like lens wasn't as seasoned, and I kind of wrote. I was like, this is fucking stupid, and it's like, yeah, it's supposed to be stupid. It's supposed to be some stupid fucking violent movie. Like stop being.
It's actually not as stupid as
like the stuff that happens, like that.
Yeah, but it kind of has like a deeper meaning type thing. That's the problems I had with it the first time, but on rewatch, I didn't.
I think I think I might like get that more.
What
like,
for Revenge?
Yeah. But
yeah. I found the Blu-ray for In a Violent Nature, and grab that shit.
I don't trust buying any Shudder movies.
Yeah, I agree. I also.
Because
it's not a Shudder. It's a Shudder thing, but it's not like a Shudder release though. It's weird. It's like a Canadian release of it. It's awesome.
Yeah, but it's like a Shudder title, so it could definitely come out on Vincent or Severin.
Oh, I don't give a fuck if it. No, I'm fine with this copy. I don't care if they release it. I'm not buying it. So.
Right, but if you didn't buy that release, you might
I might. Yeah. Yeah. But I mean, this was fucking $20 and it's fine. It's good. Good for me, man. I don't care. But
yeah, I'm not buying any Shudder stuff going forward.
No, the thing is, I'm not collecting Shudder from, the sister label shit. So I don't give a fuck. I mean,
I'm not collecting it either, but
yeah.
I will buy the ones that I really loved, but to be honest, man, there's a lot of misses in there. There's a ton, and they might not release all the ones that you want. Well, me specifically, anyways, but who knows?
Yeah,
we'll see.
Yeah.
So, but
yeah, I'm not collecting any labels. I gave Cinematograph or whatever its fair chance, and
I still with Saturn's Core, but I buy everything Saturn's Core and Agfa and stuff. I fuck with those labels because I like that shit.
That new Saturn's Core release. I didn't think it looked pretty interesting.
Yeah, I thought it looked cool. Yeah,
isn't it like just a bunch of like shorts or something?
I don't think it's shorts on there. Oh, is that? I can't remember what it is now. Fuck, it's been so long.
It's the one that got this month, partner label month.
Right, I can't remember, but
I thought it was shorts or something.
I don't think it is, but yeah, I could be wrong, but whatever. But again, Sounds Card, like I'm gonna buy everything that they fucking put out because I fuck with that shot on video stuff. That's like my wheelhouse.
They definitely have some misses in there.
Man, their first like fucking 10, 12 releases are so good, man. Like
the mom and pop video store doc was like, I could have lived without.
Oh, yeah, totally. Yeah. I mean, honestly, dude, a lot of modern documentaries like that, the
ones that are coming out on those sub labels are pretty not good.
No, and I don't fucking. The only reason why I bought that Mom and Pop, is because it was Assassin's Core. But like the rest of the actual movies that they released, man, some of those are fucking bangers because like, those are shits that like had no good releases. You know what I mean? And now people get to see them. So it's definitely good.
It's definitely depends on the kind of person you are. Like, I personally like them.
One of my favorite books in my collection is The Analog Nightmares, man. The shot on video, the horror films of like 82 to 85. That book is like a fucking Bible, man. If you like shot on video shit, like I know Tony's like listening, going, yeah, fuck yeah, man. But like, it's really good. Like, I never expected some of those films ever to see the light of day, and here they are on fucking Blu-ray from Saturn's Core. It's crazy. Mm-hmm. I mean, there's a few re-releases in there that I had on DVD and stuff like that, but for the most part, it's a very specific line. I wouldn't expect the majority of people to even be interested in that. That's just what I'm into. So,
yeah, I didn't think there was overly a lot of good partner label stuff this month.
No, I got 3 things. 3.
There was nothing that I like jumped at. It's like I wanted that Beavers movie, but I wasn't gonna like.
That movie's actually pretty funny.
Yeah, I'm sure I'd like it, but it's like I'm not gonna like drop my drawers for like a slipcase. I don't need to watch it right now. Like May's not far away. I'll wait till May and buy it half off without a slip.
I'm not pulling my penis out for any slipcover, man. I don't care.
Yeah.
I don't know. I care about them a little bit because if I didn't, I would just buy the non-slip version every time.
Yeah, like I'll buy it if they have it, but like I'm not like rushing to like pay full price for these things.
If it has different artwork, then totally right. But like these catalog titles that come out with a slipcover and the artwork's the same underneath, I'm like, why? The fuck's the point?
Looking at you, Kino.
Well, that's how all slipcovers used to be.
Yeah, and they're fucking pointless.
Yeah,
absolutely
Scream
pointless.
Factory changed that shit. That's what I loved about Scream Factory. I'm like, these are the coolest fucking things I've ever
I hate that about it. I hate that slipcovers became a thing.
You can blame Vinegar Syndrome for that.
I am going to start.
No, that was definitely Scream Factory.
I blame Vinegar Syndrome because, like, the thing about Vinegar Syndrome,
Scream Factory was one of the bigger ones that
I know. Like, they really got interest in it. I would definitely agree with that. But this was
and they were ugly.
Vinegar Syndrome, like, looking at it from a business model is genius because they would just like they went and got the rights to like just lots of movies that like normally you would see like in like a 24 pack at Walmart, and they were like, let's make this look really good, put a fancy slipcover on it and charge a bunch of money for it and make like kind of a line almost more about the aesthetic than almost the movies, but we can buy these movies.
Well, in their defense though, with that theory is, at least they do really good fucking work with their
they do great work.
They
and
restore
like,
their shit.
I'm not
They're not just putting a slipcover on a non fucking,
Yeah, I'm not knocking them for it either, and it's not like I'm saying like they just put out nothing but trash. Like what Vinegar Syndrome's putting out at this point. Like it's not.
Oh no, they polish turds all the time. I'm just saying they do it well though. Like they fucking like.
But I don't think that was their model though. I think they literally put out stuff and didn't even think about slipcovers, and then fans started demanding them and made it a thing, and they're like, oh, okay, let's capitalize on this weird thing.
I mean, other labels were doing it, and they saw
most of their early releases
I know their early ones weren't like that, but I think they like pivot. They saw the value in like selling movies as an aesthetic, especially movies.
Yeah, that's what I just said, but it happened afterwards.
So when fucking Vinegar Syndrome first started, obviously they weren't doing slipcovers and stuff, but Scream Factory started
with slipcovers. I remember it being a big deal,
and it was a big deal because people were like, "Oh, I didn't get slipcover." Like, and people were passing on the movie because they didn't get the slipcover and shit. Like, remember that?
Which is psychotic to me.
And like when they were going, like when the slipcovers were gone, people were just like losing their mind. They were buying up these titles with slipcovers for crazy amounts of money. I think Vinegar Syndrome saw that because the first couple of years they weren't doing this, and they saw the craziness. They're like, "Oh fuck, man, let's just put some slipcovers on this shit," and the rest is history, man.
I literally remember people asking Vinegar Syndrome to start doing slipcovers,
and that might be true too. Like I'm not denying that. I just think they're the capitalists that really like just capitalize on this idea. And like they enhance their business model because of that, and then all these companies followed suit. Like it's genius. Like that's the kind of like windfall you look for.
I still think the best aesthetic that was ever done in a boutique label was when Arrow first came out with their window box releases. Those are the fucking coolest thing ever. Like those are some of the nicest releases, and they're like early. Like this is like 2000.
I think my problem is
it's when they first started.
Most of their artwork, I just don't like. I don't like the artist.
I didn't like how bulky they were.
They have two DVD releases that are fantastic, man. They have a fucking Street Trash edition with like custom artwork that's fucking phenomenal, and their Silent Night Deadly Night DVD release is fucking amazing. The artwork's awesome on those releases, and I have like the old white DVD releases of them, which I'll never get rid of because they're fucking awesome. And I bought those in like 2009 10, like before I was way on YouTube, like when they first came out. Maybe it was 10 11, I don't know, but fucking crazy, man. Really nice. But I get what you're saying. Like a lot of the custom art and shit like that they do, not good. It's not good. But then again, Scream Factory went that way though too. Later on, like their early stuff was really good, and then a lot of their custom art it was just tedious to look at. You're just like, ugh, fuck.
They got more competition, and people just like improved on like the dynamic of it.
I mean, they had the good artists, and then they just obviously moved on because they weren't paying them what they go on and do other shit, man. It's like
it probably started costing them more money to do that. Be like, oh well, this company pays this much.
I think pound for pound, Arrow has the worst artwork. Like the Arrow releases of the last like 7-8 years.
Yeah,
I'm trying to think what I've bought.
A lot of the custom stuff. Arrow, I mean, but I don't fuck with the custom anyways. Like I always put it to the original artwork anyways. So like,
yeah, but like think of like the bulky stuff. So I'm thinking, what have I bought from Arrow that like had some sort of slip the last few years, and it's like of the last year. It's like, okay, I bought the Shootist, which is like fine, but it's not great artwork. Mm-hmm. The Warriors artwork sucks. And the
I think one of their better artworks is the Children of the Corn and the Killer Clowns from Outer Space.
I like their older
Killer Clowns is great.
Yeah. But just this year, what else did I get from? And I bought the Barbarella thing this year, and that one sucked.
Yeah. I don't think I've bought a single Arrow release this year.
I bought a few, not much.
I bought
a couple box sets.
Witness from Peter Weird too, but didn't have a slip on it. I don't think
I bought the J horror thing
art either.
Box set, of course, I was going to grab that. A couple releases here and there. But Arrow's they're one of those labels where like, I seek out when I feel.
Yeah.
Like it's not something it's not like
they've
Severn.
lost their sparkle.
It's not like Severn or Mondo for me. Like I'm always up on that shit. I'm like, oh, I need to grab that shit. But
I feel like Arrow and Scream Factory in the same territory where it's like mostly catalog or re-releases, and then every once in a while there's something cool.
Scream Factory has released maybe 3 or 4 cool things in the last 5 years. It's all been 4K re-releases. It's a bunch of other shit that no one cares about, and it's just the same shit. They released a couple things that are cool, but that's it. They don't do what they used to.
The last like new release from Scream Factory, to think about that, legitimately got me excited. It was Private Parts.
Yeah, Private Parts was a great
There's
release.
a few other ones that I was excited for, I think, but yeah, I think that Severin and Vinegar Syndrome, I feel like, are the two like people doing like the best stuff. Yeah. But I also think that Severin is like the most like ridiculously priced out of all of them.
Mm-hmm. But again, they do good work. So I mean, at the same time, I'm like, fuck, everything's overpriced as it is. At least they do good work. So, but they're releasing shit that I want to get though. I
don't know. They did like a lot of re-releases for this Black Friday.
Oh, this Black Friday, the only title was The Mask of Satan, which I actually just put on Amazon. It's coming out in a couple months, so I'm just getting it through Amazon. So
I didn't give them a cent.
I won't get a slipcover, which I'm fine with. I don't give a fuck. But whatever. I want it because it's Bava. So Lamberto.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a lot of fucking 4K re-release. I'm just like, I don't need these. I don't need any of these, man.
Not when like everybody was having sales.
Yeah. No, I didn't really buy much at all.
Yeah,
me neither, actually. I ended up I did place a little MVD order. They had like a really decent sale on some titles. Like I got like Dahmer for like $3.99 or something, and My Friend Dahmer for like $5.99 on Blue, of course. And then I think I got Jack Frost 2 for like $12 or something. So yeah, there was a lot of cheap titles on that sale.
Mm-hmm. All right. That's probably gonna do it.
That was long. Go watch Christmas movies and stuff anyway.
Yeah, I gotta go eat. I'm fucking starving.
Eat a dick.
All right, guys, that's going to conclude episode 277, and we'll be back next week with, of course, our top 10 Christmas horror films episode. Yeah, I'm looking forward to doing that shit. It's gonna be fun.
Woo.
Interesting to see what lands on everyone's lists, but yeah, check you guys next week. Deuces.
Peace.
That's all, folks.